What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another David Rams live stream. Hope you're all doing very well. This is Sunday, right? We're on a Sunday. We're on a Sunday at the end of January. Can someone tell me where January went? Like, I feel like I blinked and it was gone. It was cold, it was grim, and then it disappeared. And now it's going to be cold and grim February. Well, it's cold and grim here in Finland anyway. Maybe it's not where you are. So how's everybody doing? How is everybody doing, vegan noob? Nice and early. You're the first one in the comments today in the live chat. Congratulations for that. You officially win the title of first, which I know is very important for a lot of people online to be the first in the comments. So there you go. You win that competition today. Guys, so today, what I'm doing today is I put out a link so that people could ask me questions anonymously. And it is really anonymous, by the way. I've no idea who's sending me these questions. And that's been pretty good because people have sent through stuff that I guess they wouldn't send otherwise. That link, by the way, Annie will post it in the chat here in case you guys want to use that to send questions anonymously as well. I've got to be honest, we have quite a lot of questions, so there's no guarantee I'm going to get to your question. As always, when we're doing this, if you have a question and you want a guaranteed answer, the only way to guarantee an answer is to support the channel. So use the Streamlabs tip there in the pinned comment, so send the tip through that, or use the super chat, and I'll promise I will answer your question. I will answer whatever you want me to look at, right? Aside from that, though, you're going to be rolling the dice by throwing it through the anonymous link or by putting your question in the chat. I'm going to be prioritizing obviously the super chats, those who send the donation, thank you. You guys will be prioritized. And then if there's no one sending through donations today or anything, then I'll be prioritizing the anonymous ones because that's what the live stream is about. You know what I mean? It wouldn't make sense to prioritize anything else, would it? Does that sound good, guys? Throw me some broccolis in the chat if you think that sounds good. I think that's reasonable, personally. Well, I would, wouldn't I? It's my channel. I make the rules. All right, so cool. So that's what we're doing. It's not all going to be Q&A stuff, though. If we feel like it's getting a bit dry, or maybe if I feel a little bit like, oh, I want to do something else, and if I'm feeling like that, you guys might feel like that too. I have some videos lined up that I'd like to watch with you guys as well and for us to react to together. I actually haven't seen any of these videos that we're going to look at today, but I'll show you. We might get to all of them, or we might get to none of them. There's a new Ed one. Meat Eater calls out hypocrite vegan, Harvard debate. There's this one from the official Veganism channel. Dog, it's what's for dinner, social experiment. And then there's this one, Plant-Based News, asking professional environmentalists how to save fish. All three of those look interesting to me, so we may or may not get through one or all of them today. We'll see. And also, there is also a new vegan that we might check out, or one that's new to me. I won't say the name in case we don't end up getting to it, because that would be really mean. But yeah, that's the plan as well. We might go over there as well. Just to kick things off, though, I do see, and I can test this now. Actually, we'll put this comment on the screen, see if it works. It's working. Great. Why don't you help any other vegan channels? So I wanted to quickly answer this one because I just spotted that there. Bro, how long have you been around on the channel for? Because I have literally done 10-hour live streams specifically only looking at other vegan channels. It's like, I guess you're new to the channel. I have had multiple vegans on the channel to promote their channels. I have promoted multiple vegans channels, and as I just said, I've done marathons of literally promoting other people's channels. So and also, yeah, you're clarifying newer vegans. I have literally done, just go back through my live streams. Not only a couple of weeks ago, I did an entire stream only looking at new vegans, like people I didn't know of, small channels and stuff. So it's okay, dude. You're new. It's okay if you're new here. You didn't know that. But yeah, we do that all the time here. We're big fans of that. Actually, I absolutely love doing it because, you know, I remember what it was like for me as a brand new channel and how bad it feels when you're all on your own and you're trying to do well, and all it would take to make you feel really good is if some other channels were like, hey, you're doing good, man, you're doing good, I've seen your content, I see you're doing great. It would have meant a lot to me as well, and it did happen to me a couple times, but you know, definitely not a lot of times. So I want to give that back to other people who are starting up because I know how good it feels to have that support. So that's why I do it. And obviously, of course, we get to see great work that helps people go vegan, and that's obviously a huge part of it as well. It all comes in together to create a great thing, doesn't it? Right, JP and Julia, we got you in the room. What's going on? Kerry, Melita Lowe. Hey guys, Mark's here. What's up, mate? Hey everybody. I see the broccolis are already flying. Good news, good news. So again, for those who are just jumping in, what we'll be doing is we'll be going through these anonymous questions that have come in, and you guys can send anonymous questions. Annie's got the link. She's posting it in the chat. Just scroll up if you just popped in the chat. The link is right there. And again, just to clarify, if you do have a question you really, really, really want to be answered, then please do send it as a donation. That's the only way I can guarantee I'll get to it, because we have a lot of questions today. Okay, guys. And also, if you're not really into the Q&A, but you want to hang out anyway, it's okay. We're going to break up the Q&A with some video reactions too. All right, guys, we've got something for everyone today. So shall we start off with some of these anonymous questions, guys? Are you ready to kick things off? I think I've just got to ask for more broccolis, to be honest, if you're ready. So give me more broccolis if you're ready, and I'll load up the first question we're going to look at today, which we've got quite a lot of them. I might just pick one out of randomly. It's kind of fun to see so many questions from people who I have no idea where they've come from. It's kind of fun. Maybe we should, I tell you what, maybe we should start off with the question in the thumbnail. I think that would make a lot of sense. Let's start off with the question in the thumbnail, because let's be true to ourselves here, and we are actually going to answer the question in the thumbnail, right? People might come for that. Okay, here we go. So I'm putting the questions up myself, okay, because they're anonymous, but I've not asked this, okay? This is me. Okay, I know some people are going to be like, oh, you're asking yourself questions, oh, you made these questions up. No, I didn't. I've copied and pasted the question and put it in the live chat, and then I've clicked show the comment on my screen, okay? These are not my questions from me. All of them have come from real people who did it anonymously, all right? Maybe one person sent through 4 questions. I don't know. But anyway, they're not from me, all right? Anyway, so are visibly unhealthy vegans a liability? Wouldn't veganism appeal to more people if vegans all looked great along with their already superior morality statistics? So this to me, right, so let's talk about this. Let's break this down. The answer to this is, of course, visibly unhealthy vegans are a liability, of course. However, it's not that simple. One person's visibly unhealthy is another person's healthy. And this is a problem we've got with the wider society. People will look at a vegan who is perfectly healthy, right? There's nothing wrong with them whatsoever. But because they're not jacked, right? Or because they are a guy and they're quite slim, usually that's the case. They say, look how slim that guy is. He's feminized, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, to be a slim man is very, very good. That you are likely to live for much longer than an overweight man if you are slim. I'm talking slim. I'm not talking underweight. I'm talking slim, right? Now, of course, there is a scale there too. There is the other side of it. That, oh, you go too far that way, then you have the other problems from being underweight. But most of the time, the people that get attacked for being unhealthy by meat eaters, they're not unhealthy at all. They could be skinny, but they're perfectly healthy. They'll have a long and fruitful life at that weight, right? If there are obviously, if they've got nothing else going on, if it's specifically just about how much they weigh, the weight is in the good bracket. So it's difficult. The other issue that we come up against here is that vegans are put under a lot more scrutiny than everybody else. So if your mate, if you are a meat eater and you work, with meat eaters, and if one of your meat eaters comes in looking a little bit worse for wear, not looking too good, you'd say, all right, mate, you all right? You doing okay? And they'd be like, yeah, just, late nights, not getting much sleep. Oh, yeah, it happens, right? It happens. Sometimes you don't sleep well, and you don't look very good. You get bags under your eyes, yeah? No problem. If that same guy walked in and was a vegan, they wouldn't accept that same excuse or whatever reason for looking bad. They'd say, oh yeah, my sleep, yeah. Oh, you sure it's not protein, mate? You sure you're getting enough protein? Oh, it's probably because you're vegan, right? Innit? And then they'd talk behind the vegan's back about how they look like that because they're vegan. It's quite annoying. So to the answer to this question, as I said, it's not just a simple answer. vegans can look unhealthy at any given moment, just the same as any meat eater can look unhealthy at any given moment. You got people like, for example, Joey Carbstrong, who's an undercover investigator. He goes on investigations. This means he has to go out until 5 a.m. sometimes, and then get up at a normal time to carry on with the work that he needs to do during the day. Do you expect him to look good after that? No, he's going to look unhealthy. Is that harmful to the veganism? Is it harmful to our message? Of course it is. But what's he supposed to do? We're humans. We're humans, and when we get worked down and when we do hard work and we do things that are challenging, we start to look a bit crap. So yeah, it's, again, not a simple question to answer. A simple question, I suppose, in this context, I would say, though, there is one context where this question is very clear. In the case of people who do extreme elimination diets and somehow try and link it to veganism. So, for example, people who do raw veganism, their calorie intake gets down to 1,000 calories or under a day. They start to literally resemble a skeleton while claiming that they feel amazing and that this is the healthiest they've ever been, etc., etc. In that case, then it is clear cut. Then, yeah, that is absolutely a liability. Those people are a liability, and they basically have what I would consider to be an ED, right? An eating disorder, a lot of these people. And that's a problem. And so a lot of these big anti-vegan accounts jump on those people without realizing it's not veganism that's caused them to be that way. It's a specific, tiny, low-calorie, extreme version of a plant-based diet that's led them down that path. It's got nothing to do with veganism, which is why you can see there are plenty of vegans who eat really high calorie food, really high protein food, and build loads of muscle, and then compete or whatever. So it's not veganism that's causing that. It's not the plant-based diet that's causing that. Of course, it's other issues that these individuals have that they end up trying to link it with veganism, and makes veganism and vegans look really, really bad. It makes the diet look bad, obviously, and then that ends up making the whole idea that we have look bad. The idea that, oh, we don't want to harm animals, we want to be against animal abuse. When you see people that look like that, people say, well, we have to abuse them because we have to eat them, because look what happens if you don't. It's really bad for veganism and for the plant-based diet. It's yeah. So there's a clear-cut case of where it definitely is bad. Great question. Thank you for it, whoever you are in the world who asked that. Cool. So there you go. Let's continue. Let's continue. All right, let's have a look at this one. This is about cats. We're just kicking things off in a totally non-controversial way. But these are the secret questions people want to ask. So it's never going to be it's not going to be totally chill, is it? There's going to be some controversy here. Is it vegan to own cats? Even rescued cats still go out at night and kill or terrorize other animals. And holding cats captive is surely also not vegan. So, is it vegan to own cats? Well, I mean, people rescue all types of animals, right? There's nothing anti-vegan about rescuing animals in need. So, you call it ownership or whatever. You have a companion animal in your home who you rescued. It's a good thing, obviously. But they would have to be, I agree with the concept of this, that they would have to be a house cat. The same way you don't let your dogs out just to roam. Your dogs go out in a controlled manner. You take them out, you keep them on a leash, you make sure no cars hit them, you make sure they don't attack other animals, and you make sure other animals don't get to them. The same thing should be the same thing with cats. I don't see why it's any different. Cats can be trained to go on a leash. They can be put on a little harness. I know it sounds mental, but I've seen it. And you could also, I've got some friends who have actually built an outdoor cat space for their cats. So their cats can go outdoors without being able to get into the wild, right? So they go through little cat tunnels, and then they've got a little outdoor space they built out in the garden for them, because they don't want their cats to go outside, because not actually for other animals' safety, but for the cat's safety. This couple in question, our friends, they had a cat and the cat got run over, but because they live near a road. So they said, oh, well, we don't want to keep the cat inside forever because that doesn't feel right. We can't really do the walking thing. They don't want to, whatever. Don't want to train the cat. Okay. So they built some kind of annex, I suppose you would call it, out the back. And cats are really happy. And with that, they get to go outside. They get to watch all the birds and stuff. They get to have the grass and all that stuff without the risks of cars. And all the wildlife gets a pro there, because then the cats can't get to any of them either. So it's a win-win. So there's your answer to that one. I think that one's a pretty clear-cut one, to be honest with you. I don't. Yeah, when I grew up with a cat, and yeah, my mum used to let the cat out, and it was just kind of a normal way of how we did things. And what she did though, she put a bell on the collar, which you could do that if you're adamant that you're going to let your cat outside. Even though after everything I've just said, you could at least put a bell on the collar, because the bell is very loud and the cat can't stop it from making sound, so that any bird or any other animal will be able to hear the cat coming a mile away, because there's going to be the bell ringing the whole time. So it kind of ruins the whole stalk and hunt thing, because there's no need for them to hunt any animals when you're feeding them, So it doesn't make any sense to give them the chance to do that, right? Absolutely not. It's not for survival or anything. It's the same with dogs. We don't let dogs just go out and kill animals, do we? We keep them on a leash. We should be doing the same thing with cats. So, yeah. I know people, so some of you guys said indoor cats are perfectly happy with the arrangement. That's also true. Carrie's saying bells are pretty mean to the cat. Well, I mean, if the person is refusing to keep their cat inside, then it's either the cat stays inside or they have a bell. Then if the bell prevents the cat from ripping apart other animals, then I don't really care if the cat doesn't like the bell, to be totally honest with you. It is what it is. It doesn't harm them in any way. It's not even that loud. It's just like the bell's tiny. It's like this big. It just makes like a little ding, 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 ding. And then the animals are like, what's that? Oh, it's a cat. It's not like it's like bang, 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 like some big church bell just around this cat's collar. Dong, 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 dong. Yeah, it's not going to harm the cat in any way at all. Just like a little, little warning for everybody else out there. That's all. But yeah, I appreciate the concern, Carrie. I'm not making fun of you. I understand the concern with sticking bells and stuff on animals. It makes sense to me as opposed to the other options. That's all. All right, let's get another one. What have we got some good ones here, some spicy ones in here too. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but this one's an interesting one. Someone asked me. I'll answer this one. Here we go. Oh, it doesn't fit in the bloody. Let's see if I can make this fit. There's too many characters in this one. All right, I'll tell you what. I'll put half the comment in, and then I'll read the other half out. So, this is a question: are you having more success not being sharp-tongued and sarcastic all the time? Now that you've become a bit more empathetic and softer, both in outreach and as a YouTuber, I kind of miss the David from your stand-up comedy. Well, yeah, some of you who've been around a while might have noticed that the channel, at least here, this channel has changed a little bit, for sure. And the reason behind that is, look, if you like, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing and expecting different results. I was doing the same thing for quite a while, and I was definitely growing and learning. And the results were pretty good. We got lots of viral videos, and we definitely made some dents in the YouTube world and on Instagram. But you have to evolve. And I spent a lot of time looking at, for example, Cliff Grant and how he talks to people and stuff. And I look at the messages he gets from people, and they're so thankful. People are DMing him all the time, like, thank you so much, Cliff. You've changed my life. I never would have considered this and this and that and this and that. And it made me kind of look at myself, and I thought, now clearly what he's doing, there's something that he's doing that is absolutely working. Now, I'm not interested in becoming another person. I've always told you guys, you got to be yourself. You got to do your own thing, right? But I was starting to get tired of the kind of, I don't know. It's tiring to constantly be extra, I suppose is the word I'm looking for, to always be kind of on the attack and the offensive, which was pretty much my calling card for a long time. It just gets exhausting. And we had a lot of fun, and we called a lot of crap out. We called out a lot of BS. We got some big viral videos. We said some stuff that needed to be said, and we really went out there. And I'm really proud of all of the things that that we got here. But it started to reach a point where, maybe I was inspired by Cliff, and I thought maybe I can try to be a little more professional with the way I carry myself, a little more professional with the way I represent veganism and the way I speak about animals, and try to be the person that I would be somebody who I would be really proud of, to make the content, make the videos that I would be able to look at and say, I'm proud of that. That is a great video. I hope millions of people see that. And even in 10 years from now, I'll still be proud of that, right? Because it's all good and well to get out there and to just go, and just get out there and get it all out and create entertaining videos and call out BS and be very, very like direct and bum, 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 which I still am in my outreach, as you can see. But if the professionalism is lacking, and if it is really just I don't know, that's probably the word I'm looking for. If the professionalism is lacking, and if there is like a lack of care, I suppose, or a lack of I don't know what the word is. It's not integrity. It's like authority. You want to be an authority in the thing that you are devoting your life to, I suppose, and I think that's what I'm trying to be more of, be more responsible, be more the authority, and be more professional, but also maintain that direct, no BS approach. That's what I'm trying to find the balance between right now. So that's why you might see that, I don't know, this person's saying softer. I wouldn't say it's softer. I'd say it's more carefully chosen wordings that I've been doing. And there's still sarcasm. I'm using sarcasm in my debates with people. Of course, I still do that. It's just that it's more carefully chosen sarcasm and more carefully chosen points, as opposed to just being sarcastic 90% of the time. And that's not quite the level of professionalism I'm looking for. So yeah, hope that explains the answer to that question. And who knows? The answer and the question, am I having more success? I'd say so. I think the feedback in general has been good from across the board. I've had more non-vegans DMing me because I guess they feel that they can do now, because I'm not so aggressive as I was before. They feel more that I'm somebody who they can talk to, so that's good. I've had more vegans giving more support as well, saying this is great, I appreciate the new approach and things like that, and I feel they feel more that they can vocally and publicly support what I'm doing. So I feel like, yeah, it's ticked a few boxes so far. I'm not quite perfected it yet, and who knows, if it doesn't go the way I'm hoping it will go, if I end up finding that this route doesn't quite cut it, I'm happy to flick back over and into the into the before ways too. So we'll just see. You got to evolve though, guys. Got to try and evolve and become better as you go, not just keep on repeating the same stuff and expecting something to change, right? Plus, YouTube is evolving too, guys. YouTube has totally changed. The clickbait is out. This kind of, clickbait basically is gone. These kind of fast edited, crazy videos are not as popular anymore. Long videos are becoming more popular. People kind of thinking out loud or explanations with more detail, this kind of stuff. Basic videos with more of a clear kind of run from start to finish. These things are, this is more popular now. This is what people are more into. So got to evolve. Oh, we're having some issues with some frame freezings, are we? Well, that's fun. Is it just the video? Or is it the audio too? Let me know. See if we can... I don't know what we could do about that, to be honest with you. I'll just keep on going forward. Cool. Next question we've got. So, okay, so audio is fine, but wait, so is the video freezing for everybody? The video's freezing for everybody, is it? You guys. Well, that sucks. Okay, so yeah. I can try and do something about that. So, yeah, all right. Everyone's having a problem with it. Okay, well, bear with me then, and I'll try and fix this problem early on, and then we'll see if we can get it going back again, get it working okay. All right, be right back. Yeah, I think I'm back on now. Let's see. Yeah, we're all good. Guys, let me know if we fix that issue or not. Anyway, I'm going to continue on with the next question now, and we'll see we'll see how this goes. Cool, seems fine. All right, no worries. Sometimes you just got to do a little restart, and then we're back to the good stuff. All right, let's do this question. This is a nice spicy one. Not really. I mean, spicy is subjective, but I suppose this one could be spicy if I wanted it to be. All right, here we go. Question is, let's pop it up. Thank you for the tip, by the way, Jokic. Give me 2 minutes to answer this question, and then I'll get to it. Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Okay, what's your opinion on groups like PETA and Plant-Based News promoting celebs, e.g. Harry Styles, who aren't vegan, and putting them on a pedestal? All right, 2 answers to this question. On a personal level, I don't like it at all. I really don't like it. I feel like it undermines the people out there who are passionate vegans, who are really putting themselves out to do good work and donating a lot of money to charities. If they're celebrities who do good work and donate, lots of just regular people who do lots of good work and donate and all this kind of stuff. It's undermining. I don't like it. Okay, on a bigger picture level, okay, promoting people like Harry Styles because he's eating plant-based or because he's vegetarian or whatever, it helps to normalize the idea of not eating meat. It helps to normalize the idea of eating less meat. It helps to normalize these concepts that obviously are not vegan, but can lead to veganism, right? So on a personal level, don't like it. On a wider picture level, I understand why they do it. And I'm not going to say that they should stop doing it, because it is a tactic in a sea of tactics that all different people are trying to do. And unless somebody could prove to me without a shadow of a doubt that doing this causes less people to go vegan, then I wouldn't say to stop doing it. I'd say more than likely encourages people to look into vegan products and plant-based products, which is always a good thing, even though the message behind it is kind of like not that good. So that's what I would say on that. Yeah. But on a personal note, yeah, you guys are talking about, PETA does good work. I support PETA. In that specific context, though, that's what I feel when, talking about the whole celebrities and Harry Styles thing. All right, Jokic, you asked a question. Your opinion on buying... Let me see if I can copy this and put it in as well. No, or whatever. Okay, I'm just going to read it out. Your opinion on buying wool-made items that are being sold by sanctuaries to raise the money. Next to items are pics and info about the sheep. You could see it at VegFest London. Keychains and tiny wool toys and a picture of the sheep whose wool it was. Oh yeah, I think we did see that in VegFest. That's it's an interesting one, because look, if there was an animal sanctuary, right, and they're trying to get enough money to support and look after more animals, and if they have sheep in the sanctuary and they have to shear the sheep, obviously seasonal, right, the times of the year they have to shear the sheep, then they could use that wool as bedding for other animals. They could use that wool for different things in the sanctuary. Or they could also use that wool and sell that wool to make money to spend on the animals at the sanctuary and be able to save more animals. It's tough, because what we don't want to do is give people the impression that wool is fine and okay to use and to support the wool industry, because no, it's not what we want whatsoever. In an ideal world, we wouldn't see wool as something that we want to buy and use, and that's the world that we want to see. But on the other hand, if a sanctuary is literally able to exist and survive because of that, who are we to tell them don't do that and don't take any more animals in and just struggle? Again, these are good questions, because they are very difficult questions to answer. If you were in charge of a sanctuary and you knew you could make, I don't know, X amount of, imagine you could make £500, €500 a week by the rescued sheep's wool, by making stuff from it and selling it and taking that £500 a week and spending it on medicine, vet bills and food for the animals. You're telling me you wouldn't do it? And you would just, let those animals suffer or desperately beg people for money and probably not make enough? And it's a really, really tough position. obviously, with the principles in place, you obviously principally you don't agree with it, of course, because we don't want people to see wool as a product. We want the people to get away from the wool industry. On the practical side, how could you possibly tell a sanctuary, no, don't do what you need to do to survive? It doesn't harm any sheep, obviously. Don't do, but still don't do it because it's principally wrong. I don't know if I could do that. I could tell them that, and I wouldn't tell them that. I think outcomes matter. In this case, no animals being harmed, no harm is being done, no wrong is being done to those animals, and actually what they're doing is helping to keep those animals alive and healthy and well, and give them the best life possible. So, yeah. Thanks, Jokic. It's a tough one, like I said, and, you know, I'm not the gospel, okay, guys? We can all have different opinions on this. But, yeah, it's tricky. Jason Bueno, thank you for the tip, mate. What do you think of the impact? What do you think the impact of Christspiracy will be? As a Christian vegan, I can't wait. I'm more and more frustrated with the collective blind spot Christianity has concerning compassion towards the planet and animals. Not very Christ-like, in my opinion. Christspiracy, if it's launched correctly and if it's done in a way that really gets the vibe and the vibe and the hype going, like people are just going crazy. Oh my God, you got to see this movie. If that happens, then it's going to be huge. It's going to be so impactful. It's going to cause monster debates. It's going to completely rewrite people's understanding of Jesus, especially. Very excited for it. And I'm also frustrated, as you are, with the blind spot that Christianity has towards animals. It's terrible. The general consensus is, if it's not in the Bible that we can't do it, then it means we can do it, which is ridiculous, of course, because there's plenty. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that isn't in the Bible that people made decisions around, moral decisions around, and the Bible can be interpreted in so many different ways. So it is ridiculous that people use the Bible as an excuse to be able to do what they want to animals, the same as any holy book. This documentary is going to help a lot with that. Thanks again for the tips, guys. Appreciate it. And that's a really good point. Christspiracy is going to be huge. Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. Let's get another anonymous question. Are you guys sending anonymous questions in as well? Let's have a look. I've got some saved already. Oh, you guys have sent another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ones in. So, okay. We'll add these to the list. I've got a list that I'm kind of taking them from the phone and I'm putting them onto the laptop, you see. So this is how I have to do it so I can keep the system rolling. But yeah, there's a lot, It's going to be a lot to get through today. Eesh. All right, let's answer a couple more then. This is a really, really tough question to answer, but I'll do it. All right. If we ever achieve a vegan world, what will we do with the small number of people who will inevitably not conform? Listen, if you're a meat eater and we get to a vegan world and you simply refuse to conform, you're headed to the concentration camps. What can I say? This is what we'll do to you what you do to those animals. That's it, right? That's how it's going to be. Okay? That person earlier saying there's no more sarcasm. That was sarcasm, but I said it like that because I just know for a fact that someone somewhere is going to clip that out. They're gonna just like, he said he was joking, but he wasn't joking. He said he was joking. He said it was satire, but it wasn't satire, which is what happened when the last time I made a joke like that. Someone was like, David Ram said these horrible things about farmers and he claimed it was satirical when he got called out for it. Yeah, no, it was satirical. All right, let me give you an actual answer then. I don't think that, okay, let's talk about what has already happened in history that could be comparable to this. So in the West, in the UK, let's talk about the UK. In the UK, it is currently illegal to be a racist. It's illegal to be a sexist. It's illegal to make what they've deemed whatever it's hate comments or whatever, or hate speech. You can't verbally abuse someone based on their race or their sex, right? So that's the case. But do people still do it? Yeah, they do it. And then what happens? Well, society rejects them. When it's a clear-cut case of someone's... So imagine if someone gets caught on camera talking to a black guy and being like, you're an N-word, you're this, you're that, all these horrible things, you're a dirty N-word, you need to go back to where you came from, blah, blah, blah. If someone gets caught on camera doing that, if the law doesn't step in, which it may or may not do, whatever, depending on the country, the people will. They won't be able to get a job. They won't be able to... Nobody's going to want to be friends with them. Only a certain group of people want to be friends with them. They'll be socially outcast. And that's kind of where we're at right now with racism and sexism, overt racism and sexism, for example. And we're going to reach a point in time where the same can be said for people's views on animals, where when it's overt animal cruelty and animal abuse, which we already have that situation right now, overt animal cruelty and animal abuse, people turn on those people. They wish all kinds of horrors on them and they get punished, right? There's probably going to be a similar attitude to that when it comes to killing animals to eat them or whatever, to mutilate their bodies for all the things that they're mutilated and killed for, right? For dairy, for eggs, for meat. There may come a time, which is crazy to imagine now, by the way, when we're in this world now, it's mental to imagine, but there may come a time at some point in the future where people view people who eat meat, dairy, eggs the same way they view somebody who beats the crap out of their dog. And people who eat meat, dairy, eggs may one day be treated the same as somebody who beats the crap out of their dog. And again, I'm saying this, when I say this now, people are going to go, well, you're crazy for saying that. Is that what you want? Is that what you want? You want to stop us from doing what we... No, in the future, you're going to agree with these people. There's only going to be small minorities of people who still want to do this to animals. After this, we're talking so many generations into the future that the general mindset will have changed so much that that's what most people are going to be thinking, I think, at some point. That most people are going to be on board at some point. Which again, it's hard to imagine now because of the way things are now. But then I guess it was also hard for people when, slaves were a part of everyday life. It would have been really difficult to imagine a world where you could get locked up or lose your entire life for making somebody a slave. If you'd have said that in the height of modern slavery, if you'd have said to somebody, hey, in the future one day, you would get arrested for trying to make somebody a slave and everybody would hate you and you wouldn't be able to get a job or a career or anything, your life would be over. They would have said, oh, that's my right. That's my right. How could you say that to me? You're an idiot. You're a moron. You're going to try and take that away from me. You're going to try and take that away from me. That's what people will say now when it comes to meat, dairy, eggs, and other animal products. They act the same way. Doesn't change the fact that maybe 50, 60, I don't know, 100 years, 150 years from now, the case may be what I've just described. It may be. But the good news is, for anyone who's watching this and thinking that really upsets them because they're taking away my rights to eat meat and blah, 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 the good news is you'll be dead by then. You know what I mean? If you're going to be a terrible person in this life and you never, ever, ever, even despite that everything that happens to animals and you can eat plant-based and you can be healthy, if despite all of that you still go ahead and you still want to just be, once you know and you choose not to change, you're being terrible. You're being a terrible person. You don't have to be forever, but you are being terrible. If you choose that way of living for the rest of your life and die that way, you won't be alive to see this future where people no longer do that anyway. So, there's no use kicking off about it. It's inevitable, right? Anyway, lots to say there, because I feel like you've got to be, the last thing I want to do is turn any meat eater off going vegan because of a conversation like this, right? But the reality is, this whole kind of, like I said, restricted freedoms and stuff like that. Well, we put restricted freedoms in for people to enslave each other. We put restricted freedoms in for people to abuse each other. And that would have been very unpopular in the times where that stuff was allowed. This is no different. It's very unpopular now. In 100 years, it might just be the norm. Maybe. Who knows? Right? Like I said, difficult question to answer. And again, I'm not the gospel on this stuff. Especially on this more, I suppose that's a very philosophical question, right? I'm just shooting some opinions out there with you guys. I hope that's how you take it, yeah? Because at the end of the day, we do our best out here, guys. I'm doing my best out here. But I am still just a man who makes videos and does activism. And every person that you watch online, Joey, Ed, they're just people who just do activism and make videos. We've got to always remember that. Everyone can be wrong. All right, guys. Remember that. We can all be wrong. Question. Controversial one. I mean, I keep saying that, but they kind of all are a little bit, you know. There you go. Is the Impossible Burger vegan? Is the question. Is the Impossible Burger vegan? In my opinion, whether it's vegan or not to me is irrelevant. I will only consider buying an Impossible Burger when the CEO or whoever of that company comes out and says once and for all, we will never test on animals ever. We will never do it as an organization ever. If they come out and say that, to me, then I probably still wouldn't eat it, but then I would consider that to say, well, okay, right, it's done then, isn't it? Because there are so many for context, everybody. The Impossible Burger itself was tested on animals. A product, as in part of it, was tested on animals. The heme, plant-based heme iron, right? But there are tons of products that are in your vegan items that have also been tested on animals historically. Okay, so if you eating those items, right? But the companies that are using it are not testing on animals, so it's not like you not buying it or buying it increases or decreases animal testing. The testing's been done, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that product is never going to be tested ever again. So it is what it is. But the company Impossible Foods, in private messages and emails with people asking, have said if they needed to, they would test again on animals. To me, that puts they're out. They're a company that tests on animals, then I wouldn't buy from them. Simple as that. There are alternatives. There are tons of alternatives out there that don't do that. There's no need for me to do that. I have no interest in buying anything from them until they make that statement that they won't test on animals. That's it. Simple as that. Thanks for the question. To me, it's that simple. I know it's like a hotly debated topic, but to me, it's just that simple. Let's do something a bit lighter. A good question. Have you made any igloo this year? Is the question. The answer is no. I have not made an igloo this year. We had a chance to. We could have done, but we didn't. It took too long last year. It took many, many hours. We're not doing it this year. Thanks for the question, though. Good one. Good question. Okay. Got there's a couple people asked about a similar topic there, but we'll come to that later. It's quite a dry one. So many questions, guys. So many questions. Okay, good one here. Here we go. I don't have any vegan friends and often struggle talking to new people unless they come to me. How can I find a positive offline community of like-minded people? In my opinion, the easiest way to meet like-minded people without necessarily putting yourself out there if you're a nervous, introverted person. Very, very simple. Go and find an activism group in your area and one that does street outreach. But don't worry, I know the introverts all of a sudden are saying, wait a minute, I thought you just said this is for introverts. You go there, you say, hey, I'm just here to hold a sign or hold a laptop. I don't want to talk to anybody, right? Simple. You hold a sign, hold a laptop, don't talk to anybody. The people around you will ask you questions, as in your fellow vegans, say, hey, so you're new here? Tell us about it. When did you go vegan? Blah, blah, blah. They'll ask you loads of stuff. And then you will be able to make friends without actually having to really put yourself out. And you'll be doing great work for animals. It is a complete win-win. And these people will immediately have respect for you because of the fact that you're also a vegan. So you kind of already have this great commonality there. And it helps to build a good friendship, even if you're not an outgoing person. I've had tons of friends in the past who've barely spoken a word, who I've seen on a weekly basis when I'm doing regular activism. And you know, you're fond of them, you know them. They don't talk much, but no one cares because the nice person comes and does activism. And then, you know, they come and have dinner and everything and we all hang out together. And, you know, that's the best way, in my opinion, for any introvert to get out and meet people within the vegan world. Absolutely. I don't see a better way of doing it, to be honest with you. There you go. You guys saying there's some lag and stuff. Is it Bearable. Just ask Annie. I don't really know what to really do about the video, guys. Not really much I can do about it, to be honest. If there are problems, I don't know. Yeah, pretty bad, is it? Great. Cool. Some of you saying pretty bad, some of you saying bearable. I'll try and restart it again, but yeah, some of you guys say it's fine. It's kind of interesting. Some of you say it's good, some of you saying it's not good. It's intriguing, huh? I wonder what the difference is between your systems and why some of you are fine and some of you are saying it's, yeah, the audio's going well, but the video isn't. Yeah, it's good. You guys all saying it's good. Okay, well, we'll just push through then. Hopefully it actually, when it uploads later, hopefully it stays it's good. Yeah, you're all saying it's good. Okay, it's like half of you good. Maybe just half of you need to get a better internet connection. All right, cool. We'll just continue. We'll push forward. This was an interesting question I didn't quite understand, but I'll post it anyway. Right. Oh, it's like it's way over the limit, but I will cut it right down. And okay, here's the question. Okay, the reason you're a vegan is you don't want to cause suffering to sentient beings. The reason you are an activist is you don't want to eliminate that suffering to all sentient... Is I suppose they meant to say, is you want to eliminate that suffering to all sentient beings. But do you think animal liberation alone eliminates the suffering in the world? I am an animal rights activist. That's the full question. So, there's a couple things that I'd like to clarify with this person, which I can't clarify, obviously. But the first thing I would ask is, so when we're talking about, so being a vegan, you don't want to cause suffering to sentient beings. We're talking about what I advocate, what I'm trying to get is for people to stop funding all these industries that do all these horrible things to animals, right? That's why I'm a vegan. I don't support any of that, and I'm an activist because I don't want people to support that either. Animal agriculture, meat, dairy, egg industries, breeding, all different animal breeding for all different stuff, for sports or pets or all those industries, zoos, all this kind of stuff, right? Across the board, because it's all for things that we don't need, and it's all breeding animals to enslave them, put them into captivity, mutilate their bodies, kill them, or just use them for entertainment until we're done with them, then cast them out, kill them. So that's what I'm standing for. That's why I do what I do. That's what I'm about. This, when you're talking about causing suffering or eliminating suffering, you head into a world where you kind of complicate it all for yourself, to be honest with you. And if your aim is to eliminate all suffering in the world, you've got to clarify what you define as suffering, because humans, for example, we have a lot of mental anguish and mental suffering. So if somebody gets dumped after a 5-year relationship out of the blue, they will suffer tremendously. You want to eliminate that? Because if you want to eliminate all suffering, that would be included, the suffering of sentient beings. What about if a child doesn't get what they want? Can you say that they're not suffering and that they're suffering in that moment when they don't get what they want, when they have a paddy or tantrum? They are suffering. What about even with animals? When animals don't get what they want, they could be said that they're suffering. If a dog has been rescued and they have a separation anxiety, and the person who rescued them goes to the supermarket, can't take the dog, only for an hour, that dog suffers for a whole hour, yelping and scratching and biting stuff because of the separation anxiety. You want to eliminate that suffering too? So this is I don't know, you go down that road and you start to complicate things for yourself, which is why I feel it's important to focus on the practical here. What are we practically trying to achieve? We want people to stop supporting and funding all these industries that I've just mentioned. That's what the focus is. That's what my focus is as an activist. It doesn't make any sense that people fund these things for pleasure when they are against hurting animals for pleasure. Bullfighting people are against, dog fighting people are against, trophy hunting people are against, yet they are the same as a dog fighter, a bullfighter, or a trophy hunter when they go out and buy a burger because they like the taste of burgers. Animal abuse for a burger, for pleasure, is eating meat. Animal abuse, killing for pleasure. Bullfighting, trophy hunting. It's all the same. So yeah, that's the answer to that question. So did I see it? Yeah. I got a couple more coming through as well. We're gonna be. I hope the stream looks good for you guys. We're gonna be here for a while. There's a lot of questions. How long have we been going so far? 50, almost an hour. Wow, it's flown by. My throat's not as bad as usual after talking for an hour straight. Guys, what do you think? Do you want to do more questions, or do you want to break it up with a reaction video? Let's do a vote. If you want to break it up with a reaction to an Earthling Ed video, which we can do, put a broccoli in the chat. If you want to break things up with, if you don't want to break things up, if you want to just do more questions, put a carrot in the chat. Okay, guys? Earthling Ed, broccoli. Questions, carrot. In the chat. Oh, you guys are voting for a little Ed. Oh, but no, some broccoli's... Oh, no, the broccolis are taking over. Yeah, guys, it's overwhelmingly... Wait, no, carrot. It's about 50-50. Oh, no, broccoli's... Oh, my Lord. Wait, Louis, you can't vote twice. Guys, don't vote... Come on now. See, if you're all voting twice, right, which I see a couple of you have done, then I can't see who's actually... Well, I think the broccolis are more passionate. All right, fine, we do more questions. Sorry, guys who wanted an Ed break. I'll tell you what, you tell me when you want an Ed break. If I see lots of people saying, you know, guys, say, listen, everybody, let's do an Ed break, I'll consider it. Do a poll. I don't even know how to do a poll. Do you guys know how to do a poll? Oh, can I? Engage. Wait, start a poll. I can. All right, sweet. Should we take a break and watch Ed? No. So should we watch Ed or do more questions? Ed. Questions. Poll. Oh God. What just happened? Can you guys see the poll? I've never done this before. This is new to me. All right. Well, there you go. The poll's there now. Oh my Lord, look at you guys voting. This is fun. Why did I not know this existed? All right, the poll's going to go for a little bit. Oh, looks like Ed's taking a little bit of a lead. Wow. This is thrilling. This is thrilling. That's thrilling for me anyway. It looks like we got 55% lean towards you guys wanting to do an Earthling Ed video. Seems like I'm gonna have to give in to what you guys want. I mean, I was ready to do more questions. We have so many questions. We could just watch Ed on our own questions, homie. I don't know, the questions crowd seem a lot more passionate, even though there's less of you. I think you got to take that into the mix, right? Even though it's a vote one way for Ed, if the Ed crowd's like, maybe Ed, but the questions crowd's like, questions, we want questions. I feel like I've kind of got to listen to the more passion, really. All right, you know what? While that poll is still going, because maybe there's some people behind, you know, on the time and stuff, I will do another question. Okay, we'll do this question. All right. Question is, how do you become an investigator? I have huge respect for people who take those hidden footage cameras, take hidden footage on farms and slaughterhouses. How to become an investigator? So you're going to need to link up with existing investigators. I think that's a really good, important way to start. The reason being is without them, you might end up really messing up. There are so many things you need to know and need to understand before you go and try and do any kind of investigation, whether it be undercover and you going in as a worker or whether it be you going in some other way. I don't recommend you just do it, you know. One thing you could do, this might be a good way to start and just get you in the vibe. During the day, you could possibly just rock up on some farms and say, hey, just wanted to come and say hello and ask if I can look. That's pretty simple. That's really risk-free. They ask why. You say, oh, I was on a hike and I just wanted to have a look. And then while you're in there, maybe you can take some photos or whatever, or at least you can have a look and have a feel for how these places look. I think that's a pretty good idea. And how do you, so yeah, if you want to actually start doing this, you want to find other investigators, contact your local animal rights organization and ask them for, you know, connections and contacts. You might not get them, to be honest with you. It's usually kind of friends of friends of friends, that the way that this works, for obvious reasons. But you never know. Once they vetted you, maybe they'd let you in. Maybe they'd introduce you to these people. I wouldn't count on it, though, to be honest. I know it's a sad thing to say, but it's highly unlikely that you're going to be kind of welcomed in unless you know people who are already in and they trust you. For obvious reasons, like I said, there's lots of people that will be trying to play tricks and play games to try and get information that they want to share with whatever, the police or with the farming people. So they're not really open to random people just saying, hey, I want to start. So yeah, it's a lot of legwork there. It's just about making connections and making friends with people and showing that you're trustworthy. And I guess you could, if you don't have any friends already, you could start by, like I said, contacting an animal rights organization and seeing if there's any process you could follow to be accepted into being helped, getting the training and stuff to do this kind of thing. Hope that helps. And sorry, it's not a great answer, but there really is not like a 10-step program to that. You need help and you need to have connections. Yeah. And it's also not even something I would recommend for most people, to be totally honest with you. I think your best time, for most people, your time best spent is doing activism with groups online or in real life with the public. The kind of work I've just mentioned there it doesn't require many people to do it, to be honest. And I don't know what country you're in, but in a lot of countries, they do have people who do it already. Obviously, if you're in a country where no one does it, then that's different. And you would be very, very, very useful to start there. But if you're in a country that with people that already do it, maybe your time could be better spent elsewhere, to be totally honest. All right. So it looks like 53% for the ed break. Well, it looks like we're going to have to take an ed break, guys, because, you know, I've got to go with the vote, right? I'm sorry for those who are passionate about questions, but it gives you a reason to stick around. We'll do a little ed break and then we'll get some questions. All right. So the video that we're going to look at by Ed was this meat eater calls out hypocrite vegan. Harvard debate. Meat eater calls out hypocrite vegan, Harvard debate. Let me just see if I can hold up. I just want to get it loaded up properly. And we'll have a look. I have not seen this one. But these Harvard ones always tend to be quite interesting because you expect them to be smart and then they're just not. They're just not, you know? Here you go. Let's get into it.
So, I mean, you know, I guess, you came here to Harvard Square. You put your table down here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do you think it's possible when you put your table down, you might have squished like a couple ants or something? When you do that, do you lose any sleep over that?
Hey everyone, conversations about important issues are a great way of encouraging us to think about things differently and of learning new things, which is something I'm very passionate about and is something which brings us on nicely to today's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant is a wonderful engaging
Sorry, Ed,
website.
I'm not having you do a sponsor on my channel. Let's get out of here.
Hi Milo, nice to meet you. My name is Ed. Thank you very much. I have a banner and I'm at Harvard University today with this banner, and the banner says, give me your best argument for not being vegan. You've been kindly waiting, which I appreciate. You've now sat down. So tell me, what's your best argument?
No, that's a great question. So, I mean, you know, I guess, you came here to Harvard Square. You put your table down here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, do you think it's possible when you put your table down, you might have squished like a couple ants or something?
I mean, it's unlikely. We do check before looking for insects beforehand. So
it's a very... Give me a second, guys. I've just realized something. I've got no power currently going into my bloody camera and it's going to die. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back, okay? Don't go anywhere. funny because, you know, earlier on somebody asked a question about changing the style and stuff, you know, and I said, yeah, trying to be more professional or whatever. Yeah, because forgetting to plug the laptop in is to plug the camera in is definitely pro, isn't it? Funny. All right, what is that thing there? Oh, it's the drink. Cool. Yeah. Cool, we're back. Nice. All right, let's get back into Ed. Oh, that sounded weird.
Unlikely.
So when you walk around on a given day, it's entirely possible you squash some ants or some insects, some small bugs or whatever.
Yeah. It is possible. Yeah, it's impossible to be pure and to avoid all situations that cause harm.
I mean, I would say it's rather likely that you destroy at least some bugs, some insects.
Yeah.
I mean, do you?
Right?
Yeah, agreed.
And you also consume animal products as well.
I do. So when you do that, do you lose any sleep over that? Like,
well, not necessarily, because firstly, I'm not necessarily aware of it. But secondly, ethical consideration can be different based on the scenario as well.
But based on the scenario, so like what aspects of the scenario?
Well, I mean, I guess if you view like an ant, would you say that the life of an ant, morally, which is killed unconsciously and without intention, do you think that ethically that's comparable to the intentional slaughtering of an animal such as a cow?
I don't think it's comparable, but I don't think it's comparable not because it's not intentional. I think it's not comparable because the ant's life is less valuable than, say, a cow's life or a dog's life or something like that.
Well.
So you do acknowledge that there's like some distinction to be made between how valuable the life of
100%.
some organism is based on their species.
Yes.
All right, so like where do you think that line stops? Like,
well, I think when we view food choices, because obviously that's what we're primarily talking about, it's absolutely fine and I think logical to create like some sort of gradient of moral worth, you know, and I think a lot of that gradient is based on things like sentience and consciousness and the capacity to experience. But if I create this kind of gradient, I have to go out of the edible foods that I have in front of me, which of these food sources is least likely to be, or is the least sentient, is the least conscious, is the least likely to experience. And if I had the choice between cows, chickens, pigs, lambs, and plants are those which are at the bottom of this gradient in terms of edible food choices. So morally, that's the choice I have that contributes the least to harm and suffering with the food choices that I have. So I think that gradient actually works in favor of veganism.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. So you think, so you acknowledge there's a gradient, you acknowledge there's different values based on how sentient or how long living a species is, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like funny to like take massive consideration of that moral gradient. Like when we talk about what we eat, but like, you know, you're not out here talking about you're not out here talking about where people choose to live. You don't talk about the products, the hygiene products people use.
Oh my God, this guy is so annoying. He literally, all he's done is sat down and gone, okay, I'm going to try and figure out why you're a hypocrite. I'm going to try and make out that you're a hypocrite, Ed, because when you put this table down, maybe you killed an ant. When you walk, you kill ants. And Ed's like, hey, you do that too, though, right? Yeah, I do that too, yeah. Okay, so we're the same there then, okay. But then you go ahead and you fund all of this animal cruelty and killing, and I don't. So why are you focusing on something that you do to try and make out that I'm a hypocrite? It's the same as Piers Morgan does. He goes, oh, you know, you eat avocados, you eat almonds. Do you eat avocados and almonds, Piers? Yeah. So wait, why are you criticizing me for something you do? See, when I'm criticizing you for something that I don't do, and I'm trying to criticize, or suppose more, encourage you to take on board what I do because I think that's better, and I'm trying to convince you as to the reasons it is better. Let's try to tell me why it's not better. That's what your job is to do here. If you're going to argue with me, you're going to convince me why what I'm doing is not better. Not focus on something that you also do and try and make out that I'm a hypocrite for that. It doesn't make sense. It's really unusual. The way they kind of put it forward is as if I don't stand on ants, but you do. And it's like, no, we both do. So why are you bringing that up? It's frustrating. And then now he's flipped on to, well, you're also not talking about these other things. It's just like, man, why you sat down? This is a relatively short video as well, 12 minutes. So it's probably, seems like it's just going to be more of this, really.
Like any number of things that we do as people.
Yeah. But that's part of
animals and
veganism.
organisms in massive ways. But
Veganism isn't just about food.
Okay.
It is also about things like toiletries and hygiene products and also clothing as well. But food is by and large the biggest contributor to these problems, both environmentally but also, suffering perspective as well. It's the thing that we partake in the most often. We buy a jacket maybe once and it lasts us for a number of years, but we eat food 3 times a day.
Yeah.
So in terms of the problems it causes, food is by and large the biggest in terms of this conversation.
okay.
Well, why aren't you vegan?
Good question.
So I mean, I think I'm not vegan really for that reason.
What reason?
I don't believe that an animal's life has as much value as a person's life.
Does it have more value than a plant's life?
It depends. Like, what would be worse for the environment? Me stepping on an anthill or me cutting down a tree? It kind of depends on the comparison we're making.
But what about this comparison?
Well, it depends on the comparison. That's called what's it called? Where they're only giving you a false dichotomy. Well, the situation where I could cut down a tree or stand on an ant, well, for the environment, it would be better to stand on the ant. Like, okay, yeah, but in what context, in what situation are you ever going to find yourself in there? Why are you coming up with a hypothetical? He's created a hypothetical that supports what he's saying, but it's a hypothetical that has no base in reality whatsoever. So it proves nothing about nothing, does it?
And you buying plants in a supermarket or buying a cow in a supermarket?
Yeah. It's a good question. I would say a cow's life does probably have more value than I mean, if I go cut down a tree, I think that would not be as bad as me senselessly shooting a dog, for example.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you eating plants is not as bad as you senselessly killing a cow or a pig.
But that's the thing. I'm not sure I see it as senseless, but I do see that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
I mean, that's primarily the reason I'm vegan.
Yeah.
That in a nutshell is it. So why aren't you vegan?
I don't know. I think I honestly think my nutrition or even my enjoyment as a life as a human is more valuable than that animal's life.
Well, when you say that, does that mean that we can do anything we want to an animal as long as we enjoy it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say no.
No.
Yeah.
So why is killing them okay if we enjoy it?
I don't know. I mean, I think
It's doing a great job here.
like one a predator killing its prey is like kind of a natural process. Me going and doing something vile to an animal for fun is not a natural process.
No, but at the same time, in nature, there are lots of things that animals do to one another that are awful. And so, I guess the question would be, should we look to nature to decide what we, in a human context, perceive to be right or wrong?
Yeah. No, I mean that's a great question. I might say well, what about when a cheetah goes and kills a gazelle?
Yeah.
You say, what about when a cheetah rapes another cheetah?
That's a great point. Yeah, exactly.
Man, I don't have a good answer to that.
Do you think that cheetahs should be?
Doesn't seem to really have any good answers at this point. I mean, at least he was honest earlier on, kind of acknowledging that. He's acknowledged a couple of things, so fair play in those things, but he's still hanging on.
Moral role models?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad about that.
Yeah.
Makes me feel safer around you, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why aren't you vegan yet?
Oh, man, I don't know. I think the best answer I have for you is just that I think that I don't know. I think it's a natural process. It's like part of my human instinct.
There's literally he's saying nothing right now. He's saying absolutely nothing. He's just waffling on.
I think it's sort of what we're meant to do.
Is going into a supermarket and buying some steak part of your human instinct? What human instinct is that fulfilling?
I mean, maybe not necessarily buying the steak, but consuming the steak certainly is.
But do you kill animals yourself?
I do not, no.
Why not?
There's no reason to, right?
But it's part of
Do
your,
I make
part of
my
your
own
natural
clothes?
instinct. But
Do
it's
I
your
build my
natural
own house?
No, but it's your natural instinct, isn't it? That's actually maybe not a natural instinct, but more a form of socialization.
Okay.
It's a cultural instinct based on how we've been raised.
Yeah. I would argue socialization's a pretty natural process, but yeah.
Undeniably. But I guess it's not like a biologically innate hunger or desire to do this thing. It's just it's something we've been raised to do.
Our bodies have organs and mechanisms designed for us to digest and consume meat.
But not exclusively. And I guess that's the question that I would come back to from earlier, which is, can you get nutrition from plants? Like, can you get the protein and such that you need from a plant-based diet?
I would say absolutely, if you so choose, yeah.
Right,
So from a nutrition perspective, that isn't a reason for you not to be vegan, because you can still get the nutrition you need from plants.
Well,
so it's just enjoyment then, right?
I don't think you can get the nutrition to the same extent.
Can you get,
I think if you want to get the same...
He just said you could get the same nutrition, and then the second he was faced with the fact that, okay, then, well, then you probably should then. Well, I don't think you can get it to the same extent. Well, okay, which one is it, mate?
Protein that you would get from eating a chicken breast, for example, you would have to eat pounds and pounds of plants. It would be massive hassle.
Well, what are you basing that off of, that assumption?
I think it's just kind of a fact that, like, it's...
Pounds and pounds?
Pounds and pounds. I mean, that might be a little hyperbolic, but, like, it's... my rebuttal was, like, I think it's kind of a normal thing for me to kill a cow. You know, for me to, like, go, like, mutilate a cow's face because that makes me happy would not be a normal thing.
But what is normal, what is moral?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, we were talking about socialization earlier. I think what is moral is kind of defined by society.
True that,
It's kind of a standard put forth by others. So, I mean, I would say,
though, doesn't it?
Here, when I'm making this choice, I would say it is moral.
But you're basing that based on cultural constructs.
Yeah, I mean, so it is possible we as a culture could, like, come to a point where it was considered wrong.
Absolutely, because morality changes within cultures, and so cultures change as a part of that. But you know, when we think historically, cultural things that were considered moral at certain times in history, and indeed in areas around the world right now, are not moral even though they're cultural. So whilst our morals and values may predominantly come from cultural standards and socialization, that doesn't mean that our morals are intrinsically tied to them. And what I mean by that is we can create morals and values outside of what is socialized to us. And as a consequence of that, create a better society through the changing and evolution of moral values. Did that make sense? And do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So just because eating animals is cultural doesn't necessarily mean that it's moral.
I mean, that's a fair statement based on what we agreed, yeah.
Sure. So why aren't you vegan?
It's so good that Ed keeps on bringing it back. It's brilliant. No, because it's important, because the guy is... Everything the guy has brought up, Ed has pushed him to the conclusion for him to say, actually, okay, yeah, fine. No, I was wrong on that. And when you're dealing with somebody who has the courage of their convictions, but is also happy to admit when they've been kind of convinced that when their convictions don't make sense, then you've got to keep coming back to the question. So okay, so is there another thing here? And I've had this before. I've had this a couple of times in some debates where the other person is actually willing to listen and actually realizes, yeah, you got a point there. But then you ask, okay, so why are you not going to be a vegan then? And eventually all they're left with is just, I just don't want to. And then you're kind of like, well, I mean, fine, right? You just don't want to. But your lack of willpower is responsible for unspeakable, horrific violence to animals. So, this doesn't really cut it, to be honest, if you just don't want to. If you want to be a good person, if you're somebody who cares about animals and you claim you do, or at least you wouldn't want to be someone who's cruel to animals, then you've got to have that willpower to change. You can't just say, I don't want to. Well, you can, but it doesn't sound very good for you. And it definitely doesn't match up with your perception of yourself being a good person,
I don't know. I think you've got me in a corner, man. I mean, it's something to think about.
Absolutely.
Although, all that said, I can't say that I'm probably going to change my ways. But yeah, it's certainly something to think about. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I appreciate you stopping. And look, I know we spent like 10 minutes together, 15 minutes max maybe, and I'm not going to shift your entire worldview and change your entire paradigm in this short space of time. But the important thing is we do just think about it. So just spend some time thinking about it, and then also just Google protein and plants. Like where can I get protein from in plants? And then just find some recipes and just give it a go. You've got nothing to lose from trying it. But the positives are that you can reduce the harm that your food choices cause and the environmental impact. And you might even feel better for it at the end of the day as well, from a personal perspective. Nothing to lose. All right? Thank you.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, you have a good day.
Have a great day as well. Have a great life, in fact.
Yeah.
Thank you. All the best.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good there. I appreciated how Ed was just constantly bringing it back to the question, even though I think the guy would have rather not be asked that question again. But hey, Ed did a good job though. Impressive. Well done, Ed. And well done to that guy for eventually just kind of admitting that I don't really know. Pretty much in the end, wasn't it? I just don't really know. Yeah, something to think about. Well, do more than think about it. Apply yourself. Have a very, very, very good hard think about it. I see a few super chats. Thank you, Dillian. I'm really excited about your project. When is it coming out? It depends on what project you're referring to. But we have, yes. I'm just being cagey with the information, because it is still confidential. But yeah, it will be. I can't give to. I'll actually. Do you know what? We need to address that because I did tell you that I was going to be able to reveal information. Thank you, Dillian, for reminding me of this. So the project that I was speaking to you guys about, that I was telling you, was I could give you more information about by the end of last year. Unfortunately, what ended up happening was the things we needed to get done needed to be pushed back, which is why I didn't give you any information. And I'm giving you an update now. I should have given it you earlier. So that's my bad. So it's still not safe for me to tell you in detailed information about what we're doing because of the delay in what we were going to do last year. Now we're going to have to do it this year. I'm not going to give you any dates or anything because I don't want to give you false promises. But when I can, I will reveal what we've been doing and more information about this animal rights project. And that will be. I hope this year that I can tell you more information. We'll see. We'll see how we go. These things never tend to go. I mean, it's such a big project. It was always going to have some, some difficulties. But once we do reveal it, you will be pleasantly surprised, I'm sure, about what it is and what we've been doing. And you'll understand immediately why it's taken so long. So thank you for the question, Dillian. Appreciate it. And, but yeah, sorry to be so cagey with you guys. I know I speak a lot and I just want to be careful with my words around this because it is a high profile and, there's safety concerns and things with what we're doing. So yeah, so David's been working. It is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Eat fruit, plant seeds. David's been working hard on his OnlyFans. That's the big reveal. Funny. And Vegan Legion, thank you for the super chat. Crazy how many non-vegan insect bivalve / plant activists there are, yeah. Yeah, it is funny, huh? Yeah, all the meat eaters really, really care about bees and plants. Yeah, sure. And we're supposed to believe that, aren't we? All right. Thank you guys for the tips. Super chats, keep them coming if you've got more questions and more stuff you want to say. And let's dive back into these anonymous questions, shall we? Like I said, we still have a lot. We still have a lot of questions to get into. Okay, well, we've got one that's relevant just from the last video. Someone's shot over. I'll just pop this up for a second because it's funny. Would you cut down a tree to save an ant's life? Joking. Funny. Funny. Okay. This is an interesting one that came in. I'll pop it up for you. Should we be concerned about anti-vegans using deepfake AI to make false videos of vegans saying and doing things that they never would? As far as I understand, I think they've already done this with the vegan teacher. So that's really bad, yeah. I mean, I know they've done it with famous people and stuff as well, but for sure it's a concern. I don't really know how to avoid it. Currently, it's quite difficult to do it right now, which is good, but eventually it's not going to be difficult to make this kind of stuff. So we're going to have some issues. I guess you just got to make sure you kind of report it to wherever it is, YouTube or Instagram or Twitter, and tell them what it is. And you just got to hope they'll take it down. But I don't know. It's like Race is saying, it's already an issue and it's probably going to get worse. We just got to be careful and just try and do our best to call it out when we see it. But for sure, because I know recently there's some stuff with Taylor Swift, right? They did some AI stuff with her, and that's been really bad. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility for us as well. Okay. Oh, this question goes way over the limit too. Let me just try and cut this message down for you, and then I'll read out the rest of it. Okay. This question here. It might sound silly, but can a vegan like a film with animal cruelty in it? For example, Texas Chainsaw Massacre involves real dead animals, and at the same time, it's got a very strong pro-vegetarian vegan message with how it compares the victims to animals for slaughter. I hope this makes sense. I mean, this is definitely an area that has caused debate, I think, because look, when you go to the cinema to watch a movie, of course, you're going to be paying for that cinema ticket, and a percentage of these cinema tickets goes to the people who make the movie. And if that movie involved animal abuse, then technically, well, you're kind of funding it, or at least you're incentivizing them to do that again. So I know that's pretty tricky to get around. Personally, if I know the way I do it, I'm not telling you how to do things. Obviously, this is another one of those bottom of the pile problems, which there are a lot of that are posed between vegans. For sure, this is one of them, because what I do is if there's something in the cinema that I know that has animals in it, then I will just wait until it is on a streaming service, and then I will find a way to watch it without funding the streaming service or the cinema. And, that could be, for example, using a friend's Netflix account, right? Or there's other ways. I don't know what I'm allowed to say, to be honest with you, on stream. But anyway, there are ways to watch movies without having to send any money to anybody you don't want money to go to. Okay? And that's what I do. I know some vegans don't do that. Again, it is one of those things where you could have a debate about it, but I wouldn't say it's worth kicking off about, for sure. It's one of those kind of examples. It's kind of like going bowling, or going to do, airsoft or whatever. None of these things, you can't guarantee that when you go, like, for example, you don't need to go bowling, right? However, when you go bowling, guaranteed your money is funding somebody who's going to spend that money on meat, dairy, eggs, and more. Okay? Because the owners of that place, they're not going to be vegan. Does that mean that you going there isn't vegan? Because you know for a fact that your money's going to a non-vegan place. Right? It's the same with the cinema. When you go to watch a movie at the cinema that you know used animals in the movie, you know your money's going to that place, but how is it out? The outcomes are no different than going to the bowling alley. So I guess the point here is there's a lot of, the world is definitely not suitable for vegans. We live in a non-vegan suitable world. You got to navigate this and just do the best you can, wherever you can, however you can do it, and not get so caught up in the weeds and debates when it comes to things like this, to be honest. I think there are more important conversations to be had than should you go to the cinema or not, or should you go to a bowling alley or not. So yeah, I won't spend much longer on this. I just wanted to put these kind of ideas to you and tell you what I personally, like I said, I don't watch movies at the cinema when I know this has happened. But this is a personal preference, and it's how I do it. And you could do it too. But I wouldn't spend too much time debating on this, to be honest with you, because it is in the grand scheme of things, it is a minor topic, right? Not worth fighting over or falling out over or whatever. Because vegans, definitely fall out over this kind of stuff. Okay, let's get another question. Okay. I'll give you a spicy question. Okay, let's bring this one up. I say spicy. It's not really spicy. It's just one that doesn't really normally come up. I guess people don't like to ask this stuff publicly, but are you a leftist? Why or why not? Do you acknowledge that capitalism oppresses both animals and humans and needs to be abolished? So, am I a leftist or not? The funny thing is with this question is it depends on who you ask. If you ask an Antifa member, am I a leftist? They'd say, no, I'm alt-right. I am evil. I'm the devil. Okay? If you asked some certain activists in the vegan world, they would say, no, David is a dirty right-winger. He's evil, the devil, right? If you asked a right-winger, is David a leftist? They would say, yes, he's definitely a leftist. He's a leftist activist for a leftist cause and progressive idiot, right? If you asked a far right-winger, is David a leftist? They would say fundamentally 100% without a doubt, absolutely yes, in every single way, form imaginable. So it just depends on who you ask. And, if you asked a centrist, they would say, yeah, I think David's centre-left. Because the centrists tend to be the most reasonable people. The ones who look at everything and go, yeah, I think I can, I get a picture of everybody and, they'd probably place me centre-left, right? Well, some people will probably place me centre-right, slightly one way or the other, depending on the day. Who knows, right? Who knows? So it just depends. And do I acknowledge that capitalism oppresses both animals and humans and needs to be abolished? So far, guys, I have never seen one argument or one piece of evidence that shows me that humans and animals would be better off in any other system. Every other political system abuses animals. Every other political system abuses humans. Look at the world we've got. Is there any system in any major country in the world that isn't abusing people and animals? No. And they're not all capitalism. Well, some people would argue they are. So, yeah, if somebody could fundamentally prove to me that getting rid of capitalism and putting in this new system would solve all those things, then I'm not interested in abolishing capitalism, whatever that even means. I'm more interested in practically trying to create a better world in the world that we're already in. I personally would recommend people, instead of focusing on trying to abolish capitalism, whatever that even means, I would focus on doing what you can practically with what you've got right now, which is there are a lot of things you can do right now to change the world that we've got. But I feel like if you spend your entire life trying to fight capitalism, you're going to die with achieving next to nothing, because you're trying to overturn a system. Like, not you're not just trying to convince people to be good to animals. You're not just trying to convince people to be kind to animals. You're trying to change the system that most of the world runs on. I'm sorry, but it's most likely not going to happen. I don't think. And even so, again, I've not been shown anything that convinces me that the replacement would be any better. People usually who are calling for the abolition of capitalism, they've not thought that far ahead. People are not showing me the alternative and how that would look, and proving to me that, look how much better it would be. So, it's all kind of wishy-washy up in the air. They kind of want some kind of utopia, and that utopia has never existed and never will exist, most likely. So I don't know. It's all a bit confusing to me. I'm very much a person that wants to focus on the practical, the here, the now, what can we do now, rather than looking forward to some kind of, I look forward with animals, in perspective of a world without animal products, because I feel like that's something we can imagine. But this kind of utopian world where the entire political economic systems are all different and it's, well, I can't imagine that. I don't know. Maybe it's a question for somebody who's more into this kind of stuff, some kind of political commentator or something like that. But for me, no. Yeah, I see someone. You got some most interesting question here. Where'd it go? Yeah, if you can ask. Hold up. Okay, it's okay. Never mind. I'm gonna keep on going with these anonymous questions, because these are the ones that we're here for, which is quite a lot of, guys. Bloody hell. More and more are coming in as well. All right. This is an interesting one. This is one I'm not really sure how to answer, but I guess that's kind of the point of the questions today. They're putting me out of my comfort zone a little bit, you know? All right, I'm going to have to read the rest of it out because it doesn't fit in the box. Do you think us God, good start. Do you think us human beings should leave Earth for the animals to thrive peacefully? I mean, of course, it may not be possible as of now, given that there's no such technology. However, just imagine, hypothetically, occasional surveillance for any health issues should keep going. Do I think it's a question that's not really possible to answer because, as you've said, there's no technology for it. And if we move to another planet, we're just going to do the same stuff there. It's not like we're going to miraculously become peaceful, loving, no conflict, no animal abuse, and we're all just going to figure it out on Mars. No, we'll just take all the issues to Mars and then mess it up there too. So I don't know. I'm not convinced that it would be any different, and I'm not convinced that I wouldn't really see the point. So no, the answer is no. I don't think that would solve anything, to be honest with you personally. Cheers for the question, though. Very interesting question, but yeah. DJ Lernal, thank you for the tip, mate. No questions, guys. Just join stream as notifications are not reliable anymore. Well, thank you for joining and thank you for the tip. Appreciate it. Usually you don't do a message, so I appreciate the message. That's cool. Thank you, mate. Okay, questions. Okay, let's have a look at this one. I'll read out the whole thing, just put the first part up as like usual because it's another long one. That's what she said. Okay. I'm vegan myself and feeling really good myself, but I wanted to ask about people who were vegan and had to go back to consuming eggs because of health issues. How could you see this in an ethical context? Can it be seen as a temporary solution until we have better vegan alternatives? There is no magical nutrient available in eggs that people can't source from plant-based sources. So when people come out with this nonsense, they usually have absolutely no evidence. They've not done any tests, or the tests they have done, they don't show the results of, so we can assume that they haven't done any tests. And they've not even done any of the stuff to figure out what the problem was that they were having usually. They don't bring any receipts. They don't see any specialists that could help them continue eating plant-based. They just give in. They throw the towel in because ultimately they just want to eat eggs again. That's the mindset of the people that do this. And they know by going from this vegan to ex-vegan, they know they're going to get attention, sponsorship deals, podcast appearances. They know their life is going to improve significantly. They're going to get some hate. But at the end of the day, anyone who's doing this kind of online persona understands that any attention is good attention. So I'm referring here, I'm assuming you're referring to the people who've done it publicly. That's why I'm commenting on those people. And so there's a lot of incentive to do this and not a lot of incentive not to. These people haven't internalized, I suppose is the right word, the ethical side of why not to eat eggs. And all they see is all the benefits of starting eating eggs again. I get to eat what I want. I get to go on podcasts. People are going to come to my channel and support me as an ex-vegan. And what's the bad side? Eggs, well, I mean, come on, it doesn't really hurt the chicken anyway, right? They just kind of forget what they learned, or they never really gave a crap in the first place. Which obviously, guys, we all know the egg industry is absolutely horrific for chickens. But these people convince themselves that it's all okay. I'm just going to get it from a local farmer, organic, free range, all that nonsense. So I don't have to feel guilty. And then I'll get all the benefits the benefits of eating the food I like and all the attention and all that stuff. There you go. Answer that question. But ticking them off now. Flying through. Okay. Just gonna load up another one. Oh, this is a great question. This one's like really interesting, you know? Really, really interesting question. Why are you such a douche? You know, it all started back when I got into a fight back where I used to live, right? I got into a fight with some guys in the neighborhood. and it was pretty dangerous, and my mum got scared, and then she told me that I needed to go move in with my aunt and uncle in this place, Bella. And then, when I got the cab there, yeah, I realized it was actually pretty cool and it wasn't so bad. But right when I saw the dice in the mirror, it made me kind of realize that maybe I'd made a bad decision here, getting into the fight with those people back in my hometown. And in this new Bel Air place, it was quite posh, and my uncle was quite rich, so I had to kind of brush up and become more of a bit of a kind of douche, to fit in that world, because I came from a poor background, So yeah, I think that's pretty much my story, to be honest with you. And I learned some life lessons. I became quite close with my uncle, my aunt and uncle, and also my cousins. We did lots of stuff together. I went to quite a posh school and learned how to kind of be in that world with more money, and yeah, that was my life. That was my whole life, and so yeah, it made me a bit douchey, made me a bit douchey, and that absolutely, guys, that wasn't at all the story of Will Smith and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That wasn't that. That was my story. Just want to make that clear. That was all me. Okay, guys. There we go. Hey. Oh, this is a great question. Coming right up. Okay, this might be from a meat eater. Let's see. I worry, or maybe it's not. I worry activists only ever talk to people on the street because it's low-hanging fruit intelligence-wise. But this has the effect of dumbing down our movement by recruiting them. Why don't they talk to intelligent, well-read people instead, so they bring value to the movement? Well, I've seen this accusation before. And, okay, so first off, it's kind of an insult to people in the street that they're low-hanging fruit. I mean, these are the average general public. So whoever you're talking to in the street is representative of the general public, which is who you're trying to change the minds of. If you're constantly getting into debates with intellectuals and you're talking at some super high philosophy bro level debate, it alienates a good 80% of people, whatever, just threw a number out, but it alienates most people because most people won't have a clue what you're talking about. Most people talk like the same way as you would hear someone on the street talk. So it's important to talk to people on the street, as I said, because they represent the average person. But even that being the case, I've debated people who have come prepared with argumentation, people who are intelligent, and they end up saying the same things as people on the street say, just in a smarter way with more words. Go and have a look at the debates that the very popular debater and streamer Destiny has had about veganism. Okay, this is somebody who debates for a living. He literally only does debates. And a lot of people would say he's very intelligent, very high IQ, very, very good at debating. When he argues about veganism, he makes the same points as average Joe on the street makes. He just makes them sound smarter with lots of fancy terminology. So Sam Harris is another example of that. Supposed to be really intelligent. Neil deGrasse Tyson, supposed to be really intelligent. These people make sometimes even dumber arguments than the average person on the street makes. Actually, to be honest with you, I will spin that around. I have had more intelligent conversations with random people on the street than I have seen supposedly the top intellects have on veganism when I've watched debates on YouTube. I've had more meaningful and honest debates with average Joe on the street than the top debaters in the world have had on YouTube, okay? So I don't think this comment is fair or reasonable. It's kind of mean to the people on the street, acting like they're low-hanging fruit. But also I understand it, because it does look like that, and I've been criticized for that, but there you go. I've just explained why it's not the case. So I get it. I get it, but it's wrong. And thank you for the question, whoever that is. Okay, here's one. I'll answer this very briefly. Is morality objective or subjective? My answer to this is I don't care. I actually don't care. If I'm arguing with somebody about veganism and they believe it's objective, I will try to convince them to become vegan, acknowledging, just accepting that morality is objective. Fine. I'll try and convince them that the objective morality they subscribe to is compatible with veganism. If they believe morality is subjective, meaning that every single person has their own subjective view on what is right and wrong, I'll try to convince them that they should go vegan based on their subjective morality. I really just couldn't care less, to be honest with you, about the answer to this question. And I've seen debates on it, and it's interesting to watch. It's a fun lesson in just, I don't know, whatever. Just mental masturbation, I suppose, philosophical masturbation. I don't care. As simple as that. I can work with either way. I don't care. I don't care. Thank you for the question, though. And so I recommend any of you guys, if anyone ever says to you, you know, oh, what do you believe about morality? And tries to drag you into the weeds on that, that's what I'd say. I really don't care. I can talk about veganism, whichever world you live in. Objective, subjective, which one are you in? Okay, objective, cool. Let's talk about veganism with that then. I don't, whatever. Doesn't matter. Okay, good question here. How to deal with infighting among vegans with different views of activism, politics, welfareism versus rights, etc. How to deal with the infighting here. It's quite simple, to be honest with you. You've got to focus on the outcomes, not on the principles. So important. When you focus on outcomes instead of principles, as we discussed earlier in the day as well, when I told you principally I might be against something, but practically I'm not bothered, or I will be happy to work with. So, for example, imagine I just don't agree with somebody, right? Imagine I know somebody who has some views that I just don't like. I don't like the views, right? But practically, they're not doing anything with those views. So let's imagine the pro-vegan content. There's nothing about their views there that I don't like. And let's imagine actually the views they have don't even negatively impact anybody. Let's imagine their views are in the content, but it's not like it causes any kind of negative impact. I just really don't like the views, but it doesn't matter, right? Then, well, I don't care. I'll work with them. Sure. Why not? The outcome is that they're doing good work. And even if they have those views that I don't like in their content, as long as it doesn't negatively impact people going vegan or not, why wouldn't I just work with them? It doesn't matter. And I think we just need to remember that. It's about outcomes. It's not about principles. It's not about your own personal BS. It's about outcomes. And one good example of this that I realized recently, and I'm going to do a whole separate thing about this, but I will definitely just do like a little short snippet of it now. So we have a bit of an issue in our movement in that we are predominantly progressive, left-wing. That's most of the organizations and a lot of the activists are very much on this far left of the spectrum, which by itself is not a problem, of course, right? But what ends up happening is, unfortunately, this world of progressive politics has decided quite a while back that men and their opinions are less worthy of consideration when compared to women and their opinions. Now, of course, if you're not white, if you're like a black man, for example, you get slightly more credits to your opinion, right? But still not as many as a woman would have, or, you know, a black woman or whatever, Asian woman of color, whatever you want to say, right? So what's ended up happening is that is one thing. And then so the men in this world are being told by quite a lot of people that, hey, you know, you need to back down, you need to shut up, you need to step back, things like that, right? So that's one thing. Also, men in general, across the board, are more likely to have opinions in general that these people wouldn't like. So men, for example, a lot of men are masculine men, manly men, whatever. They like to have conversations about certain things that many progressive people don't like. They like to say certain things that many progressive people don't like. They believe certain things that many progressive people don't like. Okay? So when this is the situation where, okay, being a man means that in our movement, you will have more problems because you will be, maybe people don't want you to talk at their event because you're a white man. Maybe people don't want you to say certain things because they've deemed that your opinions are problematic, right? But your opinions are the norm for a lot of men in the world. It's just that in our world, they're not the norm. So you get shunned, you get told to be quiet, you get told to change your view, right? Now, this is a huge issue because of what I just said. The majority of non-vegans will have the same views as that vegan man has, and the same way of talking and the same way of attitude or whatever. But that vegan man is being told by the vegans around him that you can't have those views, you can't have those opinions, you need to change or you're not welcome in our community. So that means that the men who would have the best chance of convincing other men to go vegan, they kind of get neutered. They have their balls chopped off, right? And they can't say those things anymore. Or if they do, they get in trouble with the vegans. So you've got a choice. Be effective in convincing other men to go vegan, or and not have any community because they'll hate you because of you just being yourself, being like a, I don't know, maybe masculine or too manly or whatever. Or be less of those things. Don't say the things you believe. Don't say the types of things that upset those people, but then you won't be as convincing to the average guy out there. Do you follow? Because the average guy out there in the world isn't in this kind of far left progressive world. These are two very different worlds. So this is where problems like this come up, like this comment comes up. And this is what we need to realize. This is one example, but men need to be allowed to be men and vegan. And they need to be accepted into these communities as who they are without these communities and activism groups or whatever trying to morph them and change them into something that they're not so they can fit in, right? So it's like, let them be men and let them appeal to other men out there in the world, other just average general public men who would vibe with them because of their attitude or who they are or whatever. Don't try and take that away to make them more fit into a very progressive world where, you know, just let them be who they are and get on with it. Because the outcome is that them being like that will help other people go vegan. But if you don't let them be like that, they'll help less people go vegan. That's it. That's it. I guess that was... Did it make sense, guys? Did it make sense? And that's just one example. That's one example of this issue. This is just with men. There's loads of other examples too, you know, people's political beliefs and whatnot. But it does tend to be that if you hold an opinion that the majority of people hold about something in society, that would possibly help you to connect with the majority of people and get them to go vegan, it tends to be in a lot of these hyper-progressive spaces that those opinions are not allowed. And it's just counterintuitive. It's counterproductive, in my opinion. So we've just got to learn to focus on outcomes and learn to look past things that upset us or offend us. If the outcome is that they're not causing harm, but it's just offensive to you, get over it and just focus on the outcome. That's it. That's it. Cheers for the question. And that's a rant for you right there, guys. Definitely a rant. Okay. We've got through quite a lot of these, surprisingly. That's cool, huh? Smashing through them. But yeah, on that last one, guys, I mean, feel free to pop in here and say if you feel that, you know, what I said was wrong, you know, that we shouldn't let people be who they are. We should try and change all of them and make them fit into this world where, you know, we all have to have the same opinions on everything. And if we don't, get out. That's how it is with a lot of organizations and a lot of communities within the vegan world, unfortunately. And I'm the first to acknowledge that, you know, that is a valid criticism that a meat eater could throw at us. They could say, hey, your communities suck. They try and, you know, say everything's problematic and stuff, and they cause loads of problems. And you go, yeah, there are people who do that. Why don't you become vegan and join these communities and help us change it? If you're so passionate about that, hey? Because the only way it's going to change, I mean, they're we're all very well meaning, but we definitely need to have some change in that way. You know, we definitely need to be more accepting and have more diversity of opinion, you know, on those topics anyway, that we were getting at, the more controversial ones. I think that's a whole video though. So, I mean, yeah, don't take this little segment as the be all end all of that discussion, guys. All right. Just to be clear, I've got a lot more to say on it. Maybe I'll do a more full video on that, like maybe even a podcast, like a full long version of that. Okay, here's a question. Is it better to be a positive light and lead by example, or to do what you can to pull or push people in your life towards veganism? Both. Be a positive light and example, lead by example. Bring vegan cookies and vegan cakes into your work in the canteen and go, hey guys, I brought everyone cookies today. Try them out. And then when they've eaten them, be like, they're vegan. You know, that's one way of doing it, of course. But also make sure that you're convincing as well. Make sure you're not pulling and pushing, I suppose, isn't really the way I'd put it, but encouragement and making sure to point things out and go and maybe do some activism and online activism and offline activism, as well as being this positive light and leading by example by bringing in food and have it all together. It's a full circle. It's a full picture, you know. You can do all of it, and I would recommend doing all of it if you can, for sure. Cheers for the question. Oh, my throat was, I thought I was doing so good with the throat, you know, but now I've been speaking pretty much non-stop for 2 hours and it's starting to get janky. Throat always lets me down. I don't know how people do this for so many hours. But don't worry, we ain't going anywhere yet. We got some time for some more. Here's a question. All right. Is intersectional veganism stupid in your opinion? No, of course not. I don't think it is stupid at all. So I made a video about this and I stand by what I said in that video, but I'll repeat it for you guys now. The idea, if you guys don't know what this is, intersectional veganism, basically the idea of intersectionality, its original idea, came from, it was used in the courts. Because basically what would happen is, in cases of discrimination, like discrimination cases where they were trying to figure out, you know, whether to charge a company with discrimination charges on hiring or whatever, they wouldn't take into account that there was discrimination for, so they would take into account that people can be discriminated against based on race, sex, and whether they have disabilities or not, and things like that. But it didn't take into account that if somebody was of a certain race and disabled, then they would be discriminated against differently than somebody who was just disabled or who was just of a certain race. That's what intersectionality meant in a legal sense when it was first introduced. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? That somebody who's disabled and of a minority may be discriminated against differently than someone who is just a minority or just disabled. Makes sense. Okay, so what vegans did, for some reason, was took the concept of intersectionality and that legal thing and tried to say, well, actually, every single thing that oppresses anybody ever, it's all connected and it's all together and it's all the same. It's none. There's nothing more important than the other. We need to end all of it equally. That's stupid. The idea of being against all discrimination and oppression is a good idea. That's where I don't think it's stupid. Like I sit here now and you ask me, David, do you think it's okay that people are discriminated against based on race? No, I don't think that. Of course not. What about sex? No, of course not. Do I think it's okay that people are bloody thrown off roofs in certain countries because of their sexual orientation? No, it's horrific. Absolutely terrible, right? Of course. So that's where, if that's what you mean by intersectionality, that it's all important and we should, you know, yeah, great, I agree, right? But if you're going to try to tell me that somebody not getting a job they want because of the color of their skin is at an equal level to an animal having their throat slit because they were born a chicken, that's where I tell you to F off. That's where I tell you to go away. No. And that's where intersectionality is stupid, because that is what they believe. They do genuinely believe that racism, sexism, homophobia, etc., is on an equal plane to animals and what animals go through, which is absolutely ludicrous. It is nowhere near on an equal plane whatsoever. It couldn't be anywhere near. Okay. And it's painfully obvious that the people who believe that haven't spent even 1 minute in a slaughterhouse, because if you did, you would never in a million years say that, ever. If you actually saw and looked into these animals' eyes and saw the fear in their eyes and what they go through, you would devote your entire life to stopping that. And all the other things they're important, don't get me wrong. The other things that happen to people and all these other discriminations and oppressions, they're important, but they come secondary to that, right? Every time, in terms of scale, severity, in terms of the defensiveness, the defenselessness and the innocence of the subject. Any way you swing it, any way you look at it, animals should be a priority. They are by far the most oppressed, the most ignored, the most unheard. They don't have any political voice. They don't speak any language that really anybody fully understands, right? They communicate in all these different ways that they can't speak any language, human language, you know? They are by far the ones that need the most help, by far. So there you go. That's it. That's what I've got to say about that. And being animals first does not mean you are anti other movements. It doesn't mean you are against liberation of humans, right? That's not what it means. It means you are prioritizing. It means you are, and that's what you should do. You should prioritize animals, in my opinion. Now, if you want to debate with me and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to prioritize humans. I'm going to prioritize this cause here, right? I'd say, yeah, okay, fine. The only caveat to what I would disagree with you, but you want to focus on humans, that's fine. Just leave animals alone. If you're a vegan who says, hey, I'm a vegan, but I'm going to go and focus on this other thing, I'd say, fine. As long as you're a vegan and you're not causing issues for animals, I'd rather you come and do animal rights with me, but whatever, you go do that. Okay, cool. And it's the same the other way around. If you're a vegan who's animals first and you're like, no, I'm going to go focus on animals, that's fine. Just don't fund anybody else's oppression and don't be part of it then. As long as you're doing that, as long as you're not being somebody else's problem, then you go ahead and fight for animals. Absolutely. But I wouldn't be happy if some vegan was like, I fight for animals, but I also go out beating up Asian people at the weekend because I hate Asian people. I'd be like, whoa. What? No, don't do that. That's horrendous. That's horrific. You're a terrible person. Stop doing it. Why the hell did you do that? And I would call them out. But if they're like, no, I don't beat any Asian people up and I don't oppress anybody. I just want to focus on animals. What's the problem? There's no problem whatsoever. So there you go. The answer to that. And you know, a fun fact, guys, fun fact. I actually got fired from an animal rights organization for saying that. Can you believe that? Some time ago? Yeah. Apparently that's controversial to say, but hey, look, I don't think there's really any meat eater or vegan in the world who could possibly have a good enough retort to that. I think that's the most reasonable thing I've ever said, actually. One of the most reasonable things I've ever said. And I think most meat eaters and vegans would listen to that and say, you know what? Yeah, that does make sense, you know, at the end of the day. Which is, and if you are a meat eater who heard that and you're thinking, well, I still think humans are more important. Like I said, that's fine. You can believe humans are more important. You can believe human rights stuff is more important. You don't need to value a chicken at the same as a human. You just need to value a chicken enough to not slit their throat for a burger. And if you do that and just leave animals off your plate and leave them out of your lifestyle and don't pay for any of their abuse, don't support any of their abuse, and don't abuse them yourself, go and focus on all your human rights stuff. All I'm asking as a vegan is the minimum is to not cause the issues that they face that I'm fighting for them to help them. Because imagine if all the vegans were causing issues for the human rights people, they'd be like, what the hell, guys? Like, why are you doing this? You know, that's what you're doing to us. We're not against animals first vegans aren't against human rights. But when you are abusing animals, it makes it very difficult for us to get on side with you and help you. Like, if you really want vegans to come along and help you with your causes, you need to at least not be part of the problem we're trying to stop. I mean, Jesus, come on now. That's the bare minimum, right? Rant over. Hope you enjoyed it. See, if I had a job now, I'd get fired again. It's like, if I had a job in an animal rights law, I could probably get fired again. I noticed the chat went quite quiet on that one. You guys, oh, you did have a little bit of a chat. I see. Okay, I see. You did get into it. Yeah, good. I'm glad it didn't silence you. I see a lot of people kind of stop talking when this topic comes up because they're scared of what could happen to them. They're scared of people coming after them, and it's really sad that we can't just have that conversation like the one I've just said. I feel like it's pretty reasonable, Yeah, race lever. I know I do have a job. My job is, of course, yeah, you're right. My job is working for animals, working with you guys. I agree. I meant more in like if I had like a salaried job with an organization, this for some reason is the kind of thing that makes them go off you and not want to work with you. And it's really strange because I feel like what I said here had empathy, had compassion, was reasonable and fair, but there's like almost an indoctrination with this stuff that if you say something that's against the kind of mantra of it's all interconnected and it's all equal, if you say anything against that, people lose their minds. It's like, come on. It really has infiltrated in a really bad way. And the annoying thing is it could be so nice though. The concept is so nice. The idea of, helping all and standing for, it's such a nice idea, but we still have to prioritize. Jesus, come on. All right. Question coming up right now. Tricky one. Well, not tricky, but interesting. Oops, wrong comment. There we go. Do you think it's a more effective strategy to ask people to reduce animal product intake, say by 90%, rather than demand people go vegan 100%, thereby potentially alienating them? Right, so look, here's how it works. If you say to somebody, hey, listen, here's why you should go vegan, and it's something along the lines of, because you love animals, right? Or you don't hate animals. No. Okay, cool. You're against animal cruelty. Yes, I am. Okay, cool. Here's how you're funding animal cruelty. They go, oh, okay. Didn't see that before. Yeah. So that's why you should go vegan. Okay. That's a pretty good message to me. What am I trying to say? In my opinion, in my opinion, that's a pretty good message. Listen to how it sounds if I change that. You're against animal cruelty. Yes, I am. I'm against it. Cool. Here's how you're funding animal cruelty. Look at this animal cruelty. Wow, that is really bad. Yeah. And you said you were against animal cruelty. Yeah, I did. Yeah, cool. Yeah, you should reduce it and just fund 10% of the animal cruelty. That would be a good idea, right? I mean, I know you're against it, but I mean, 10%. What's 10% animal cruelty? Yeah, you're right. No, that doesn't make any bloody sense at all. Your message has been undermined when you ask somebody to reduce. You're undermining the severity of the situation. But the other reason to not do that is this. When you say to somebody, go vegan, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go home. They're going to research. They're going to think about it. They're going to reduce their meat intake, right? They might go vegetarian. Some time may pass. They might slowly cut other stuff out. And then eventually they'll go vegan probably, right? Cool. Okay. If you tell somebody, reduce, they're probably going to have meat-free Mondays, right? If you tell somebody, maybe just do meat-free Mondays, they're going to do meat-free Monday once a month. Because people will, like in general, not everybody, but in general, people look for the easiest path. There are exceptions to this. There are people who choose the most difficult path. There are people who challenge themselves, and like athletes, and this is how you get people who are Olympians and stuff, and people who have this mindset where it's like, I'm going to do everything properly. Yes, they exist. Most people aren't like that. Most people want the easy road. So if you tell them go vegan, they're going to look for everything they could do other than go vegan, which is why it's incredibly important for you to stress the fact that it's veganism. That's what we need to be doing. And here's why. And stress it. Remember the animals. Remember what you saw. Remember that. You're against that. It needs to be hammered home because people look for ways out because it's difficult. Change is hard and they don't want to do it. So when you start promoting like, flexitarian reduction, it's making it easier for them, but they're still not going to do that because then you've made the end goal flexitarianism or reduction, and it's crap. And then they're not even going to do that because again they'll look for the easier way. So for all those reasons, I would never recommend telling somebody reduce. I would always recommend giving them the honest, direct information and telling them that it's incredibly important that they cut all these animal products out of their life. And look, they'll find their own way there. You can't make them do it tomorrow. They'll most likely take it slow because people do that. But you've done your best. You've told them, this is what I think needs to happen. If you can't prove me otherwise, which they can't prove you otherwise. And then, okay, well, you know what needs to happen now. So what are you going to do? You're going to make it happen. Okay, go make it happen. Tell me if you have any questions, you know? Good questions. We're hammering through them. Let me just see if you guys have sent any more. Oh, no, you haven't. Okay, I guess we're nearing the end of our anonymous Q&A. It's been good. I think I'll do these a little bit more often, to be honest. Anonymous Q&A. I might actually add it as a link that's always there, so that if anybody ever wants to ask me something anonymously, I'll have it available maybe in the I don't know where I would post it, actually. Like in the bio or somewhere or something. I don't know. I'll figure something out. Okay. Let's have a look at this one. I saw the beginning of it and it looked a little spicy. I've not read the whole thing yet, but I'll read it out for you now. Given you've made comments critiquing purchasing animal feed for pets, saying they should look for nutritional plant alternatives and should stay inside, how far do you take this? What about owning plants that eat insects? Should they be kept inside too? That's funny. I don't know anybody who has plants that eat insects, but I mean, why would a vegan ever come into possession of a plant that eats insects? There's no time in your life where you would need to rescue a plant, because plants are not sentient. And if a plant dies, they die. And that's it. That's the end of the story. So I don't really see like there's a rescue. And like, we've got this Venus flytrap and it needs a good home. Can some vegan somewhere please help? And the sanctuary is, we've got this. Okay. We can take this Venus fly. No, come on. So no, I don't think that's ever going to be an issue. And any vegan that does end up taking a carnivorous plant, you're being a bit of a silly Billy, aren't you? You're being a silly Billy. Don't take a carnivorous plant into your home. Okay. So yeah, there's that. And I don't, it's such an interesting question. So yeah, I think that answers it though. To be honest with you, how far do you take it? Yeah, just don't bring carnivorous plants home. That's how far you take it. Hey. Okay. Okay, 1 minute. I'm gonna have to. Sorry about this, because there's a character limit, and I have to post the first half and then read the next half. Okay, so when people bring up the argument of we have canines, therefore we should eat meat, and they're like, why isn't the argument made that we cannot eat meat without cooking it or we'll get sick? All other animals that eat meat do not need to cook it. So why that argument's never... Well, I mean, some people do bring that argument up, but there are carnivore dieters now who eat raw meat and they're not dying. Not yet anyway. So I wouldn't use that as like... It's not a very strong argument. It's an appeal to nature, right? We have canines. That's an appeal to nature. But when you say, right, but we have to... I don't know, we need to cook meat though. So therefore it means that it's not natural for us. That's also an appeal to nature. It doesn't matter if meat is or isn't natural for us to eat. It's irrelevant. What's relevant is that it's not necessary. We don't have to. We can get all the nutrition from plant-based sources. So, but anyway, the canine teeth thing is so silly. Your mouth is full of tiny little teeth with two slightly pointy ones. There's no evidence, even if you really cared about nature, that's no evidence of the nature of humans being like, oh, look, we must have eaten loads of meat with these pathetic little teeth. No, doubt it, right? But anyway, regardless of that, neither argument is strong. As I said, the only argument that's strong here is that we get to make decisions based on morals, based on what is right and wrong, not based on what your mouth is designed for, or what you're designed for, evolved for, or what your intestines are evolved for. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, the best data, the best studies, the most powerful data out there that we've got so far is saying, hey, plant-based is fine. Make sure you hit your nutritional goals with it. Make sure you supplement if you need to. Just like most of the world takes a bloody supplement every morning. Loads of people wake up in the morning, drink a vitamin supplement tablet, or they're eating supplements through animals' bodies because the animals are supplemented. It's the world we're in, okay? Simple as that. You can be healthy. Just make sure you get your nutrition, plant-based sources. Done. That's what's important. So I'm just like coughing into the microphone, right? Because that's what you want to hear, isn't it? If you've got headphones in, maybe you can hear the dog now. Okay. There's a couple of questions about anti-natalism. And I mean, guys, I've already had this whole discussion. I mean, if you want to know what I think about anti-natalism, go on to Lawrence Anton's channel and just go Lawrence Anton, David Rams, and everything that I ever thought about anti-natalism is right there. So I won't get into it today because it's all there, and it's not a topic that's very just simple necessarily. So yeah, go ahead over there. I recommend that. Okay, let's try this one. Got another question here. Okay, cool. What should I do if I live with my family that isn't vegan? They say that no one will tell them what to do and take things from them. They remember how it was in our country, Poland, after World War II. They had nothing back then because of the government. That's like the rest of that one. So this is a Polish family who is saying, we will never let them take anything from us again because they've got bad memories of World War II. Which, yeah, that's reasonable, right? There's trauma there, and I understand why they would act like that way. I guess what you've got to make them realize is the way they feel about never wanting anyone to take them or their things or take their freedom ever again is totally valid. Totally valid way to feel after you've had your freedom taken away from you. But what they need to realize is that the very thing that they said they would never let happen to them again, they are doing to animals. They are taking these animals' freedom away. They're taking away the only thing animals own is their life, and they're taking that from them. So if they truly are passionate about no one ever taking their freedom away, no one ever doing that to them ever again, well, why are they not acting like that also when it comes to other animals? Surely you don't want to have happen to them the thing that you never want to have happen to you again. Have some empathy and compassion for them. Live a life the way that you want to be treated. Treat them the way you'd like to be treated. And this is where Alex Hershaft comes in. And this is why he became a vegan and animal rights activist. He's a Holocaust survivor. And a lot of the things that led him there was seeing the parallels between how he was treated and how they took his freedom, and then how animals are treated and how we take their freedoms, and he couldn't live with it anymore. So he became a vegan and he started an animal rights organization and became a very powerful voice for animals. So maybe you could also send some videos by him over to them and say, hey, look, here's somebody who went through something very similar to what you went through. And look, here's why now he is a vegan and animal rights guy. Empathy. Really important to have empathy. Good question. Definitely a tricky one. Tricky question, because, in dealing with people who've been through that, you don't want to be, you don't want to be too brutal and abrupt, but you've also got to defend animals and make them realize that they're being bloody hypocritical. What are you guys on about here? Should the vegan community ostracize vegans who have a disturbing obsession with making bad vegan puns? Asking for a friend. Of course, we should ostracize them. They should be outed. Yeah, especially if their name's Race Lever. Like, a guy needs to get the hell out of here. Funny. Okay. Do you think... No, we already answered that one. And Okay, yeah. Here's a question. I'll cut off the end of it again, but I'll read the whole thing out. Okay. So vegans rightly oppose horse racing as they are beaten with whips and die in the jumps or get injured and killed. Basic stuff. Where do we draw the line with other animal sports? At what point does it stop being a fun game for the animals and exploitation and abuse? It is. Oh, I didn't put the comment up. My bad. It's up here now. Well, it's abuse and it's exploitation because the animal is being used for sport. So where to draw the line? Okay, no, okay, there is some line to be drawn here. So, okay. So, for example, greyhound racing, bullfighting, the kind of Indian bullfighting thing that we've discussed here. These are horrible. The animals are physically abused, physically like tormented, and absolutely those things they're terrible and they need to be stopped. Absolutely. There are some gray areas with other things though. I think maybe this is what this person was getting at. So for example, I've seen corgi races, right? Or dachshund races where people bring their pets and they have one person on one side of the race, right? Holding the dog, and then the other person goes to the other side and he's going, come on, baby, come on, like, and calling them. And then they have a race to see who gets, I mean, look, stuff like that to me is what this person's saying, I suppose, is just fun and games. It's just silly. It's just people and their companions playing. And obviously I think we can all agree that that's not a problem, right? So I guess where do we draw the line? I suppose the line is drawn where I think it's when it clearly crosses over into exploitation, because that is not exploiting an animal. See, for example, Annie and I could take Emma, the dachshund that we've got here, our little dachshund companion, and we could take her out and we could do that in a park, right? So what's the difference between doing that in a park and doing it in a setting where it's a quote unquote race, right? There's no difference, right? But if Emma was specifically bred for that, trained for that, and this was her entire life to be used for that, then this is where we start to draw a line, don't we? And this is what greyhound racing is, and dog racing, and like professional dog racing, and bullfighting, and obviously bullfighting, they kill the bull, so it's different. Like running with the bulls, things like that. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely some nuance when it comes to people playing with their pet companions and stuff like that. But I don't think this is something that, I mean, I'm taking this too seriously. I don't think this is necessarily something that is a big topic, a big vegan debate. I think we can all see the differences, can't we? I would hope so anyway, because, with you'd be hard pressed to find any evidence of exploitation and abuse in a corgi race, right? You'd have to look really hard for it. But I guess in some of them, maybe you could find it. And in those cases, you'd say, hey, look, this is not just some fun and games. This is actually what you do. These animals are abused, right? You could find it for sure. You could. So, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting topic. It's definitely one of those bottom of the pile topics that, well, the corgi racing is, I mean, the greyhound races and horse races and bullfighting, and these are all very serious topics that absolutely need to be these things need to be ended for sure. I don't see them as on the same level as like corgi racing, though, to be honest. Like with people and their pet companions, All right. I mean, I'm actually kind of almost done, I think, maybe with the questions, which is pretty crazy. There's one here about somebody asking about their dad. I'll share this one with you. How I begin to fix my relationship with my parents. They are respectful of my life choices, but I know that they think veganism, and by extension me too, are stupid. I know this because my dad has said things that have revealed his genuine feelings, perhaps inadvertently. Well, I don't know what he said, and I don't know the situation, so it's hard to answer. But if they think that veganism and you are stupid, I mean, that just means they're stupid. If I'm going to be childish about it. No, I mean, look, how to fix the relationship. when you're a vegan, and especially if you're an activist, you need to have different hats for different situations. You can't spend your entire life arguing and fighting with your family. Otherwise, you're going to have no energy and no willpower to go out and do any activism with anybody else in the world. There's going to come a point pretty soon on, pretty early on, where you're going to have to just accept and acknowledge that your parents are not the people that you need to talk to about veganism. It takes too much energy, too much time, and it is pointless. And just stop talking to them about it. Just have the relationship you can have. Make sure they respect the fact that you are vegan. Don't make fun of you and stuff like that. Obviously, don't stand for that. But you don't want to spend every minute you're with them trying to argue with them about it. You're just going to ruin your relationship, and then you're going to have no energy to do anything else. And you got to keep your energy up, guys. Don't waste time with people who are not interested in hearing what you have to say, when there are so many people who are interested in hearing what you have to say about this topic. Really important to remember that. Really, really important. This is a question that I'm not sure how to completely answer, but I'll do it anyway. I kind of avoid this question because, again, it's a very divisive question, and it, again, is at the bottom of the pile of things. A lot of the questions today are at the bottom of the pile of importance, in my opinion. But I'll entertain it for a little bit, because this is the secret questions stream, and I do have to answer some of these more tricky ones. So, guide dogs. Is it vegan to own and confine another against their will to assist a blind person when consenting humans could do the job instead, and arguably better? Again, for me, whether something is vegan or not is not as relevant as to whether something is good for animals or not. So, in this case, I know that some guide dogs are rescue dogs. And if somebody could tell me, they said, hey, listen, this rescue dog will spend the rest of their life in a shelter, or we can train them to be a guide dog and they'll spend the rest of their life with somebody who respects them and cares for them and is a companion to them, but they'll have to also be the guide dog, right? Now, if they can assure me that the people who need the guide dogs, or this person who needs a guide dog, is loving and respectful of this animal, and they've done a home check and they keep tabs on the situation, meaning they follow up, they make sure there's no abuse and stuff like that, and that the animal's happy, and then I would choose for the dog to be a guide dog rather than spending the rest of their life in a shelter. I think we all would, right, with that situation. So if that's the situation, which I believe is happening, then I don't think there's a problem. But I do understand the critique here that this is not usually the case. As far as I understand, most guide dogs are bred to be guide dogs. So they're breeding animals into a life where they are just going to constantly be someone's tool, right? That's not right to me. It doesn't feel right to me, especially considering that, as this comment rightly points out, we have enough humans in the world. In an ideal world, the government would pay to have a full-time human with them instead. And even better, a member of their own family. I mean, when did we get to the point where people are not even able to look after their family as a job? So, for example, if this person has a husband or a wife or a son or a daughter or a brother or a sister, why can the brother, sister, whatever the person, why can they not be paid to supported monetarily to look after this person and be there for them, whether it be guiding them around or helping them with whatever they need help with, right? I mean, I don't know about countries outside of the West, but I think most of the West, the governments have enough money to do this, but instead they just spend it on overseas conflicts and just sending weapons all around and money to everywhere else, fighting and stuff. How about you take some of that money and put it into things like this, and then stop this whole system of guide dogs, actually replace these guide dogs with people, so that this person can not only have someone who helps them out, assists them, but also can have a lifelong friend or family member who they grow close to and have meaningful relationship with. Because yeah, you can have a meaningful relationship with a dog, but it's not the same as a meaningful relationship with another human, is it? And the people, tell me if I'm wrong, but people who suffer with disabilities do tend to suffer also with loneliness. They tend to feel secluded and alone. And imagine how much more that is if you're blind as well. So there's many benefits to having a human do this versus a dog. But in terms of the ethical perspective, as I said, if they're being bred for it, then, well, it's ridiculous. No, I don't agree with that whatsoever. If it's the rescue dog in that specific situation I described, I'd rather they were doing this than sat in a kennel, sat in a shelter for the rest of their life. So it's context dependent, to be honest with you. Tricky topic, though. That is usually butchered. I've seen vegans butcher this topic before and turn a lot of people against them. We got to be careful with it, because we're dealing with, when we're dealing with people who are disabled, you don't want to be going in like a bull in a china shop and be like, oh, you're a terrible person because you have a blind dog. It's like, whoa, dude's blind, man. I mean, okay, I get it. We agree it's not ethical to breed a dog and just use them like that. But I mean, dude's blind. Like, don't be so brutal about it. Oh my God, guys, calm it a little. I see thank you, Mark J. Cheers for the super chat, mate. It says free Palestine, free animals. Thank you, David. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. I love tofu. Thank you for the super chat as well. You are a well-spoken activist who is reading a lot of people in a positive way. Thank you. Thank you. I love tofu. I appreciate that. I love tofu too, by the way. Tofu's awesome. Tofu is good. So I've got boobs from my tofu. I'm eating a lot of tofu. It's giving me boobs. Because that's how easy it is, Okay, we've kind of gone through that. Okay, here's one I will pop in here for you guys. All right, boom. Hi, David. I hope you're doing great. I'd like to know if, without any access to vegan alternatives or fortified foods, can I maintain a healthy diet wholly banking on traditional foods? I'm from India, by the way, and how to supplement B12 daily, once a week. Thanks in advance. So I've lived in India. I lived in India for about 12 months in total, sporadically, kind of months here, months there. And yeah, I mean, there are vegan alternatives, there are fortified foods, but no, you don't need to eat those to be healthy. No. India has a lot of focus on stuff that's made from whole foods. So you'll find a lot of lentil curries and chickpea curries, stuff like that, which are great. And you get some lots of vegan bread as well, like roti, chapati, things like that, which are also awesome. The food there was pretty amazing a lot of the time. Seeds are very cheap there as well. You can get flax seeds very easily, sesame seeds. You can get nuts as well, nut butters. So no, you don't need a fortified foods. And you've already mentioned that B12. Yeah, if you're in India and you get quite a lot of sun, so you're probably going to be okay for vitamin D. But B12 is something you want to take. You're asking me to take it daily or once a week. It depends on how much B12 is in the tablet you're taking. It usually will say on it, but yeah, just I'm not going to give you advice on that because hey, I'm not a nutritionist, all right? But just Google how much dietary B12 should I have, and then go and find a supplement that matches that or a surplus to that, okay? And then you could take it daily or weekly, work out, do the calculations. But yeah, I'm not going to give that advice because it'd be weird for me to start pumping out, how much B12 should you take, what milligrams, stuff like that. That's not my area, but it's very easy to find that information, so you'll be fine. And it's just eating whole food, plant-based, you're going to be doing fine. Just make sure you're getting enough calories, and just use Chronometer at first. Maybe when you're getting used to it, use Chronometer. It's a free app, Chronometer. So it's if you're going to look for it. You'll be able to punch all your stuff in, see what nutrition's in it, make sure you're getting enough calories, make sure you're getting enough nutrients. And once you've figured it all out, then you can stop using the app and you can just carry on living and you'll be good. That's what I recommend you do. And join some Indian vegan groups because they'll definitely help you as well. But be careful about pseudoscience. Unfortunately, guys, what I learned from being in India for a long time is there is so much pseudoscience. It is incredible in India. And it's unstoppable. Like, there are some really good voices out there trying to counteract it, but my God, it is just next level. So if someone ever tells you something, if you're an Indian watching this and someone ever tells you something like, hey, you should eat this because it's going to make you do this or whatever. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Go and Google and find if there are studies on what they're claiming. Real studies, not just opinion based or some article. Go and see if there are real studies on it. And you'll probably find that the most of the time there aren't. When people make these massive claims about stuff, like, for example, I'm just going to give one example, then we'll move on, because I don't want to dunk on India. I'm just saying it was really bad when I was there with the stuff some people said. People were claiming that drinking cow urine was really, really good for your health because it has gold in it. I'm not even joking. Someone told me that. And I went over to a vegan there, an Indian activist, and I said, hey, someone just told me this. How funny is that? And they said, well, it's true. And I was like, wait a minute. What? It's true? What do you mean it's true? And I went and researched it. It was the most... So basically, it was a quote unquote study, but it wasn't really. And they had basically fudged numbers and really kind of misrepresented and tried to just talk their way into this being the case when it really wasn't. And people were buying it as truth when it was just complete and utter pseudoscience. And, so that's just one example. So just be careful if you're in India, okay, if you're an Indian and you're watching, just stick to the basics: whole foods, lentils, chickpeas, rice, nuts, seeds, vegetables. Stick to the basics, take your B12, you'll be absolutely fine. And make sure you eat enough. Stick to the basics, eat enough. No cowpea. Okay, guys, come on. No cowpea. Sharon, thank you for the tip. Hi, David. If you were Prime Minister, how would you deal with farmers? Would you offer incentives? If I was Prime Minister, how would I deal with farmers? I was going to make a joke, but I'll just be real. So I would remove all of the incentives for animal products immediately. I'd remove all the subsidies immediately because we're subsidizing failing industries. They fail. They don't make enough profit. The prices are only cheap because they are made that way. What's the word I'm looking for? They're making that way with the government is pumping money into these industries to keep the prices low. Okay, so it's a failing business, it's an unethical business, and it's a failing business. So there's no reason for it to stay propped up. So I would start removing those. And what I would start to do is look to how to rebuild the system, but with plant-based food at the source of it. So I would not really want to be doing much importing from other countries. Of course it's going to happen, but I would want to minimize that. I wouldn't want my entire country to rely on imports, food imports from other places. So I would start looking into the technology of, okay, how can we get the maximum amount of calories and nutrition with plant-based sources grown right here in the UK? What technology is available? Who are the experts? How do we scale this? And how do we get it all together? I'd start doing that. That's where I would begin. And I think with the modern technology we have and the advancements in farming, there are a lot of people out there who have great ideas about how to farm, fruits and vegetables, which you wouldn't normally be able to farm, for example, in the UK, at mass scale, but they're being ignored because there's a lot of money to be made with these imports, and there's all these deals they've made, and there's all these trade deals and stuff. I would want away with all this nonsense politics and all these silly deals and stuff like that. And I understand it's more complicated than this, but I'm not the Prime Minister. But I would want to try to get everything back, made at home, plant-based, change the system, get it all working that way. That's what I would be doing. That's what I would roll. I would run on that. I'd be like, I'm gonna be a Prime Minister. I want you to vote for me. Here's what I'm gonna try and do. And it's going to be better for the animals. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for our country. It's all going to be better if you just let me have a go at this. And if it doesn't work out, well, we tried to make it better, right? We tried. Can't say we didn't try. Great question, by the way, Sharon. Love that. Love that question. Very thoughtful. Okay. You guys voting for me. Love that. Look at that. I've already got votes from, but you guys aren't in the UK, right? You're voting for me to be the international leader then, I suppose, right? Globalist leader. Yeah, we don't want that. We definitely don't want that. People going crazy about that stuff, the globalism stuff. So no. I'll just be the leader specifically of the UK. Okay, I'm happy with that. Okay, I saw this question earlier. I'm gonna pop it in. It's another one of these kind of not as important questions, but or like things, but I'll talk about it anyway because it's here. Is it vegan to kill bed bugs? Or as a vegan, do you just have to put up with an infestation and then biting you and potentially biting your family, considering that they're not considered a health hazard? So, as far as I know, bed bugs are considered a health hazard. I don't know exactly what they can do. Let me just check. Are bed bugs dangerous? They can you can get allergic reactions, which can be very severe apparently, and they also come with they can affect your physical and mental health, it puts here. So yeah, rashes, itching, burning, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, and they can drive you mental, as someone put there. Yeah, psychological well-being. So can you kill them as a vegan? Or do you just live with an infestation? I mean, as far as I understand, if you get bed bugs, are you not supposed to actually just get rid of the bed? The mattress is done, right? Because I thought you couldn't get rid of them. So, I mean, I would, if you dump the mattress, they get to live. You just take the mattress to the skip. There you go, bed bugs, enjoy your new home. You have to rip the carpet up as well, don't you? You need to get rid of the carpet. You need to get rid of any clothes that have been touching them and stuff, or you need to put the clothes in a plastic bag. Because bed bugs have a really short lifespan, don't they? So I think if you just leave the clothes or leave the stuff secluded for long enough, they just die, and then you get your stuff back. I think that's another option. But I don't know. I heard that with bed bugs, you can't ever use that bed again. Apparently, something like that. So, but yeah, again, it's this question like, is it vegan or not? I don't know. At the end of the day, with this one, I don't know. I don't really. It's not something I think about. At the end of the day, if there's an infestation, I'll do my best of any animal. If there's an infestation of any insect in my home, I'll do my best to get rid of the infestation. I don't like the idea of going on a mass killing spree. So I'll just look for ways. I mean, this is like something that, for example, with ants, when ants infest the home, I hate the idea of just going and just wiping them all out. I don't feel right doing that. I feel like it's a minor inconvenience for me. So I try to get rid of them in a not like that. So like sweeping them out and putting some stuff down that makes them not want to come in, things like that. Yeah, pretty much it. And if it were bed bugs, like I said, I'm pretty sure you just have to remove all the stuff and put it somewhere for a certain amount of time, and then it'll be okay. But if it's in a bed, pretty sure you just get rid of the bed. So there's your answer. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty much what I'd do. Yeah. I hope that wasn't a meat eater asking that question. Bed bugs is really the scraping the barrel, isn't it? All right. All right. I think we're actually possibly. Oh no, wait. Oh, this is an interesting one, but I've already kind of said I'm not going to get into this one. But I'll speak about this one specifically. So it's anti-natalism related. Is having kids a selfish choice in your opinion? Should vegans be putting their time and energy into educating non-vegans instead of raising kids? Well, of course having kids is selfish. I mean, I think that just goes without saying, isn't it? No one's having a kid for the good of humanity. Everyone's having a kid because they want to fulfill some kind of biological urge, right? But can you make something good of having a kid? That's the question. Can you make it something that is meaningful? Well, yeah, of course you can. But it doesn't change the fact that you only did it because you wanted to, right? So in terms of, well, I've had this is pretty much what my and Lawrence's debate was surrounded on. This idea of, should vegans be putting the time and energy into educating non-vegans or raising kids? So in my logic, I mean, I'll very briefly, this was like a 2-hour debate on Lawrence's channel, if you want to go watch that. But very briefly, my response to this was that no amount of time and energy is going to be as transformative to somebody as raising them with the lessons, right? So if you have a child and you study and learn how to raise them, avoiding them rebelling against you, because obviously so a lot of parents get this wrong. They raise them in a certain way that makes them want to rebel, and then you end up with somebody who hates everything you stand for, right? But if you learn how to avoid that, you are very likely to raise a child with good values, empathy, and care for the world, because you have that, okay? But if you try and teach somebody else's child that when they've already been through their formative years and now they're an adult, you're going to struggle a lot more than if you tried to do that with somebody you raised in your own home. And the problem is whether you have a kid or not, everyone else is having kids. So when you don't have a kid, there's hundreds and hundreds of people having kids, and they're raising kids without empathy for animals, without empathy for the world mostly too. They're just raising them selfish and stuff. And then when you're dead, you may have influenced a couple people to kind of pick up where you left off. But if you'd had a kid, you're way more likely to have influenced somebody to pick up where you left off. You roll that dice, right? And you're more likely to get luck with your own kid versus trying to teach other people's kids who are now adults with their own opinions and their formative years have been set in one way. And you could do both, obviously. So this is kind of the debate me and Lawrence had. Now, obviously, neither of us really has evidence for our positions. Like Lawrence was saying it's better to educate. I was saying, well, you can educate and you can have the kid, right? And we kind of just had this whole thing. But obviously, it doesn't change the fact that having a kid is still selfish. But it's not like, I'm not saying it's selfless if you have a kid and try and make them an activist. It's still selfish because they didn't ask for that, right? You're still doing it for you. So, yeah. There's a lot more to this, and it was a good conversation with Lawrence, and we kind of just got to the bottom. Yeah, you'll see it. Go watch the conversation. If this is an interest to you, you know, this is me just flying through it and just trying to get the points out quickly. It was a lot more intricate and interesting, I think, when I discussed it with Lawrence, and a lot more long form, you know. So go check that out. Cheers for the question. Hey, come on, get down off here. Oh, whoa, it's bouncing around. Non-available. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, mate. Legend. Okay. Got a question for you. Oh, excuse me. Would the world be vegan faster if most vegans were more activist and less people pleasers? Well, yes and no. So the reason I'd say yes is obviously, if we have more activists, then technically you'd expect more people would change, right? But no, because the more activists there are, the less normal it is to be vegan. We need both. We need people who go out and do activism, but if every single vegan was an activist, then we'd alienate people. We have this cool thing now where we can say, they say, oh, you know, but you animal rights people, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be into all this animal rights stuff. I feel like you guys are like the odd ones out, blah, blah, blah. You say, yeah, I am one of the odd ones out. I'm an activist. You're right. This is a world that maybe not everybody wants to become part of. I get that. But you do know the vast majority of vegans are not even activists. They're just regular everyday people with regular everyday lives like you, and they're just vegan. You don't need to be an activist to be against animal abuse and animal cruelty. You can live exactly as you are right now, but vegan. Now, I'd love it if you came and helped me. I'd love it if you joined in with our protests and if you came and fought for animals, because we need you. But if that's not, you don't want to do it, all right, don't do it then. Don't be part of this community. It's fine. Just don't abuse animals, please. You know? So it's important. We need to have both. We need to have both. We need to show people that it's perfectly normal. It is normalized. It is fine. Vegans are average, regular, everyday people. And we also need people who are not average and regular and everyday. People who go out there, put their head out and speak and, you know, speak up for animals. Gotta have both, guys. Otherwise, it'll never be normal, will it? It'll never be accepted if we're all just, if that. Yeah, I got it. I'm just repeating myself. I'm just taking a look to see if there's any good ones that I've missed. Somebody asked, I am looking for information on the NSF. Can you help me out? I have no idea what that is. I Googled it. There was lots of things that have NSF in the name. So I can't help with that. I was really confused. So no, I can't help you out. Sorry. Look here, I see all the bedbug activists here. For me, I'm just not a big fan of just kind of mass killing any animals, really, insects or not. Like, I'd always avoid it if I could. But at the same time, I understand that if somebody had an infestation of insects that bite you, I don't think they're wrong to want to wipe them out or to wipe them out because they're biting you. But, for me, I just look for alternatives. Like, well, okay, is there any other alternative to stopping these guys doing this? Then, replace the bed. Okay, replace the bed then. I don't know. I think we've done this. Someone's asking, how do you feel about companion animals? I think we've already said that. Adopting an animal is great, of course. All right. Yeah. I think we're pretty much through. I mean, there's a couple there that I don't find them. They're not really questions necessarily. Some of these. Oh, okay. There's one about zoos here. Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay. This is a zoos question here. All right. Here you go. Vegans have a very cut and dry rejection to zoos as barbaric. As a child, I was disturbed seeing some clearly mentally damaged zoo animals in tiny cages. But what about seriously endangered species that won't survive without the high cost care zoos provide? Well, I mean, I don't know that there are any zoos in the world that have animals in the zoo that couldn't be in a sanctuary or in a more like a safari situation where they're not in a zoo, but they're in a place where they're looked after and cared for and they're monitored, but they're still free. Because the problem with zoos is, they're cages. They're big cages, right? Whereas they do have places around the world where they're not zoos, but they're sanctuaries. It's big open land where they allow the animals to roam, but there are borders to the land. And the reason those borders are there is to stop poachers and stop people who would come and kill them. See, I'm all about that. That's great, having people monitoring wide open spaces of land to help animals. But zoos are not that. They're profit-driven entertainment places. They're not sanctuaries. So if there are animals in zoos that are seriously endangered that need the high cost care or whatever, then I don't buy that, first of all. It sounds like an excuse just to have animals in a place so they can make money. That's what it sounds like to me. But to be honest with you, there's the most in the world, the most charity money goes to humans, right? And then second is animals, of course, because it's only humans or animals, right? And then of that money that goes to animals, most of it is going to helping endangered species and also to pet animals as well. Farmed animals is the lowest amount of money. So I don't see it as unthinkable that people couldn't raise a lot of money for these specific animals. I just don't see that they need to be in a zoo. It sounds to me like it's just an excuse for keeping animals in a zoo. That's how it reads to me. And I've seen zoos try to make this argument, and it's like, yeah, of course they make this argument. They've got a literal prison full of animals that they allow people to pay to come and stare at, as you said, with all these mental issues and stuff. They try to justify their existence, don't they? And that's one of the ways they try. We're conservationists. That's why we do this. No, it isn't. This is literally built for entertainment purposes. It's like SeaWorld saying like, oh, we're here for conservation. That's why we trapped these dolphins and trapped these whales. It's for conservation. No, it isn't. It's for entertainment. You're just using animals for entertainment, Cheers for the question. I think we're actually at the end there, guys. I think that is all of the anonymous questions of the day. bloody hell. You know what's funny? When we began, I didn't think we were going to get through all of them. Well, I'll tell a lie. It's all of the ones that I want to answer. There were a couple of others that I didn't really understand. Some of them I didn't read that made much sense. Actually, you know what? There's one that we can answer. I forgot. It's the first one I got, so we'll go for this one. But yeah, there were some that didn't make sense to me, or some that's the repeated questions as well, and some that were a bit silly, and some that came from some proper numpties. That I know it's anonymous, but I know exactly who they came from, and not interested in answering. I will say this one, though. There's one from Portsmouth Animal Liberation. You guys asked if I'll come and join one of your events. I'd be happy to come and join one of your events. I'd be happy to come do a talk, a workshop. So if you're watching this, drop me an email. Let's set it up. I'll be in the UK at some point over the year, so let's set that up. Someone asked, am I in a relationship? I think that's obvious. Yes. And somebody asked, how can a vegan activist be so cool? I didn't know if they were referring to me or not, but if you are, then yes. I've no idea. It just happens. I don't know. I'm just very cool, you know. Okay, and we have this one last question now. So this person's asking, I'll put the comment up. This was the first question I got. Oh, did it come up here? Can I get a better explanation for this? My friends might ask me if they see this video, and it's a video. So we'll load the video up and let's have a look at what they were after. I already know. Unfortunately, you guys have probably seen this a few times, but they did ask, so let's react to it. It's an Instagram reel, and it's of this bloody numpty yet again. Okay, but we got to do it, okay, because they're asking for it. So let's do it.
Vegan, right? I'm a meat eater. Why can't we just both live happily in each other's orbit? Why can't you let me just get on with eating meat, and you eat your gruel, and we'll all go home happy? You can all be as
okay,
hangry as you like and not have meat. I don't believe in the science of a strictly vegan diet. If vegan diets worked, a lot of animals wouldn't eat other animals.
Such a good point. All right. First off, let's answer his questions. If someone's commented, strong point. Yeah, that's not strong point at all. Okay, first off, why can't you just leave me to do what I do and you do what you do? Well, it's because what he does, what meat eaters are doing, is funding horrific animal cruelty while they claim to be against animal cruelty. We're against animal cruelty. You're against animal cruelty, but you're funding animal cruelty. Why? Let's not do that, okay? So I'm not... You could criticize me for something that you're not doing. So maybe if you found out that... I don't know. It's so strange. Anyway, whatever, right? So that's why anyway. So next, I don't believe in the science about plant-based diets. If the plant-based diet was okay, then more animals will be plant-based. I'm going to try and be professional in the answer to this. So the reason that is wrong, a very silly conclusion to make, is because other animals biologically are not the same as humans, right? Omnivorous animals can eat plant-based. Dogs can eat plant-based, right? And other omnivorous animals can eat plant-based and be very healthy. Carnivorous animals that need to eat each other are carnivorous, meaning that there are certain things they can't get from plants, which is why they eat meat. Humans don't fall into that category. Okay. I got through it without any insults. You should be proud of me. But anyway, this continues.
Do you believe in the climate crisis?
Yes.
Well, the animal agriculture, farming and fishing is a leading cause of the climate crisis.
You know what's also a leading cause of climate crisis? Planes which carry vast amounts of your avocados and your almonds from California and fly them thousands of miles to your table here in your vegan cafes. Right.
No amount. So okay. The avocados and almonds eaten by vegans and the environmental damage that is doing doesn't even come close to the amount of environmental damage that a meat eater is doing while eating avocados, almonds, and meat, and dairy, and eggs, and all the other ways they contribute to animal agriculture, which is by far the biggest contributor to environmental destruction and pollution that there is, animal agriculture. Okay? This argument would make sense if Piers was a vegan who also didn't consume energy-intensive foods like almonds and avocados. Him saying it would make sense then. But he eats almonds, he eats avocados, he eats all those other things too. So it doesn't make sense that he would say this. The second point to make here is that almonds and avocados is not a vegan issue. It is a world issue, right? If they are bad for the environment, that's because 99% of the world is over consuming them. Vegans are not the problem here. Vegans are less than 1% of the world population. Why would you pin vegans down for a problem of environmentalism pertaining to almonds and avocados? It makes no sense. Talk to everybody else in the world and demand better systems for them from everybody else in the world. Vegan restaurants are not responsible for those issues. That is absolutely ridiculous.
And then they also go in trucks. And that is an environmental hazard too. So you're not only are you killing billions of bees, you're destroying the planet. And yet you have the brass neck to sit here in between munching your almonds and your avocados and start preaching to me about how virtuous you are about not killing animals.
Okay, and again, with the bees thing, there's two things to mention with the bees thing, right? He says the almonds, avocados killing the bees. What kills the bees is mites. Mites. They have mite infestations that are killing the bees. Okay, that's why so many bees are dying. And they're trying to figure out how to stop mites from killing bees. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing, if it were the case that the almond and avocado industries were killing loads and loads of bees, it's the same as the environmentalism point. Because vegan restaurants are not responsible for that, because vegan restaurants are what percentage? What percentage of restaurants are vegan? 0.5%? What percentage of the world is vegan? Under 1%, right? So again, it is the non-vegans that are causing these issues, not the vegans. This is a vegan issue, not a vegan issue. This is a non-vegan issue, not a vegan issue whatsoever. And again, he sits there as somebody who is consuming all of these products, criticizing somebody who is trying to make a difference in the world. Absolutely terrible. So there you go. I hope that helps. And this is what's known in the debate world as a red herring. It's basically a distraction. Piers is trying to distract the attention away from himself onto the vegan. He's trying to look for ways to create diversions because he knows that he's got no argument. It is a tactic that he uses all the time. He tries to look for hypocrisy in the person who's talking to him to hide his own massive hypocrisy because he doesn't want to change. And that's it. As we talked about it earlier, the guy with Ed did it as well. But Piers is the master of it. He does it all the time. So there you go. Good question. And I hope that helped you deal with that because, I know it's very annoying to get dragged into the weeds on that. But, yeah, people are silly with these things. Oh, are we off? There we go. Sweet. Yeah, the music was meant to make it some kind of inspirational thing, and it was very cringe. That's right. That is absolutely right. Someone's asking, I'm going to fly through some of the quick ones. Am I going to get a tattoo? Someone asks, yeah, I think so. I know a couple tattooists who are willing to do me a favor, do a free tattoo for me, which is nice. Vegan tattooists, obviously. Come on. Oh, this is a question. I missed this one. So I'm just going through to make sure I've not. There's a few stragglers left, but this is a good one. Oh, donations. Yeah. I have only missed Dano, sorry, mate. Thank you for the tip. I love beer and wine, but is it justified considering that animals could have been killed in the production of ingredients for said booze and it's not essential and down to taste? Listen, that's up to you, mate. I've been down this road before listen, here's the problem, right? If you start going into what could maybe or maybe not have caused an issue for maybe a human or an animal, and we're not sure, you start going down that road and you're going to end up soon realizing that you can't do anything, really. Because every single action you take, there's not one action you take in your entire life that is going to avoid causing harm, full stop, right? And you say, well, okay, but it's not essential, right? It's not essential. Dude, nothing is essential. Nothing is essential. My life, your life, they're not essential. But I don't want you to go and do anything silly. I don't want you to go and unalive yourself, and I'm not going to unalive myself, right? But that's the logical conclusion of when you start to look at, okay, but what's essential and what's not, and should I not do that because it's not essential? This is where you're going to end up going like, well, I can't do anything, right? On the chance maybe that something could or couldn't, of course, like for example, driving, right? Or should I not drive because I may or may not hit an animal, or because I may or may not hit insects? Should I do a bike? But then I'm still less likely, but still likely. What about if I walk? Well, I'm still using my feet. I mean, there's even bigger surface area with 2 feet, and then but I don't know. There's no other way though. I guess I just have to stay home. I just wouldn't recommend going down that road. All right. And in terms of scale and severity, please focus all of your energy on animal agriculture. It is by far the most disturbing, sickening, violent thing in our lifetimes. By far. That is what I want every vegan to focus on. If you're going to do activism, do it for that. Take your mind away of things like, oh, but what if this wine, what if some potentially insects got caught up in the production of wine? These things where you're not sure or whatever. Please don't waste your mental energy on those topics. Please focus on what's important, and the scale and severity of animal agriculture is absolutely what is important. All right. And yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say there. I've been down that road myself. It's not a good road. Okay. I do not recommend it. Focus on what's important. Focus on outcomes. Okay. That's what I recommend. Dano. Cheers again, mate, for the tip. Appreciate it. Legend. You're all legends. Of course. Everyone today has been really nice. We've had no trolls. Is there a troll now? I don't see any troll. But interesting, actually. There's been no trolls today. All right. I'm just trying to slim this comment down so I can put it on the screen. Okay, it fits now. Here we go. Oops, that's the wrong comment. Where's my comment? Did it come? There it is, yeah. I don't know what happened at the beginning there. Hey, David, as a vegan with a dog companion, I have a question. I could understand being against dog breeders. Wouldn't this also mean that if the world became vegan, that we would eventually stop breeding them out of existence? So we would breed, they would be out of existence. Yeah, exactly. Stop breeding them out of existence. Thank you. Yeah, it would mean that because look, I love dogs. I love dogs and cats, and I love the animals that we have as companions. But the fact stands that there are far more dogs and cats in the world suffering from various sicknesses, diseases, broken limbs, mental problems, brain function issues, various injuries, just various horrific things, starvation, thirst. There are far more of them than there are the wonderful companions who are enjoying a life of luxury with homes with humans, right? And this is a problem that we've caused. We are directly responsible for the lives of dogs and cats because we're the ones who messed them up. We're the ones who brought them into our world and our society, bred them like crazy, let them breed, in a society. They're not supposed to be. They're man-made animals. The same as animal agriculture, man-made pigs, man-made cows, man-made chickens. They're all wonderful and beautiful. They're all individuals, and they all deserve the best chance of life that they can get when they're here. But if we can stop them from coming into the world, and we can stop them from going through all these things, then, well, we shouldn't we? I think we should do something about that. So, yeah, in a future world, in a vegan world, eventually, we would see the last dog. We would see the last cat. In domesticated ones, obviously there'd still be wild dogs, and there are no wild cats really. There are obviously big cats and stuff, and pumas, and there are some kind of, there are no animals that resemble domesticated cats necessarily, but there are animals that resemble domesticated dogs, and that would probably be the world that we'd have. I suppose it's not necessarily a given or a goal. I mean, I don't really, if some sanctuary somewhere was saying, hey, we don't want them to go extinct, so we're actually going to just keep a small population of dogs here because we like them and we're going to look after them. And, well, that would be, I don't know, that would be, I don't see an issue with that on the surface, but in terms of globally, just everyone just breeding animals. No, I want that to stop. Obviously, it's the things they go through are horrendous. If you spent any time in any country that has strays, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's horrific. If we could stop that, that would be the best. Yeah. Thank you for the question. And as much as it hurts me, it pains me because I love them. I'm attached to dogs. I'm attached to cats. I mean, I don't want there to be a world without them because I'm selfish, but I know it's the right thing for them, right? Because so what if I get to have a dog at home and, I get to have this really cool rescue dog and we have this bond and we're in love and blah, 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 and all that stuff. Yeah, great. But how many other dogs are now going to be bored and suffer because I've decided that it's okay to keep on breeding dogs and it's okay to keep on having this situation? It's not fair, It's about what you want versus what's right. And sometimes they're not the same, are they? All right, we'll do this comment. It's a pretty brutal comment, gotta be honest. Pretty savage comment. But I think this person needs some help, so let's try it. I should probably seek a therapist to fix my mental health, but I want to spit in the face of people I know participate in animal exploitation trying to tell me what to do. So I don't think a non-vegan therapist would be a good idea. I have no vegan friends or family to talk to either. Do you have tips? And that's I'm sorry you're going through that. If anyone else is also going through something like that, I am sorry. That really sucks. Fortunately, there are vegan therapists, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure they do online work as well. You could do Skype therapy with a vegan therapist. I can try and just Google it now. Because I understand not wanting to work with somebody who funds the very thing that's causing you to need therapy, right? That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there are vegan therapists. Look, there's this Cat Love here. Apparently, there's a vegan therapist. Yeah, there's a lot of websites you can. Yeah, there's a lot of resources here. It looks like you'll be able to find someone who does it online. There you go, vegan therapist, online therapy. There you go. So yeah, if that's what you need and what you're after, then that's what I'd recommend to go have a look at. And obviously, as someone's pointing out in the comments, it's not cheap. I know. But if you need it, you need it, and you might want to try and find a way to get the money. Otherwise, though, you have no vegan friends or family to talk to. Well, I don't know where you're based in the world, but I'm sure there'll be a vegan group somewhere close by. Maybe in the next town over, the next city over. Look into it, because it would probably be a lot cheaper to go and join an activism group and work with some people with a core goal and the same, the same goals as you and the same feelings as you and the same everything as you. There'll be a lot cheaper to go and drive to meet them than it would be to pay for therapy, I'm sure. So I'd recommend trying to find that as a priority. Something like a group with a We the Free or Anonymous for the Voiceless or the Animal Save Movement or, they're the main ones. There are other ones too. There's some groups over in the UK. There's speciesism.wtf. There's others as well as Animal Justice Project, Viva, loads and loads of animal rights groups and activism groups that could really get involved and meet people and you might start feeling better because you're driven, you're going forward with people who have the same goals as you. It's important. But yeah, if you need therapy, you need therapy. Other people, unqualified people, you shouldn't use for your therapy, of course. And also, if you're, don't use social media for your therapy either. That's really important. Don't post your problems to social media, because it doesn't help. People just sympathize and say, "Oh, you okay?" and stuff like that. It's not helping you. You might feel like it is, but really all it's doing is giving you a dopamine hit when people are saying, "Oh, you okay, babe? You okay, babe? You need to talk, babe." Stuff like that. It's like, talk to people privately, make vegan friends, talk to them privately, but definitely don't, I don't think airing out your dirty laundry is ever the right thing to do. I don't think it's ever a good idea to just post publicly like that. Just saying. We got a therapist in the chat. Yeah, if there's any therapists in the chat. I mean, I don't know this person. I don't know who this is. So I can't help. I can't connect you with anybody. But I don't know if you want to out yourself, this person, you can email me and we can see if we can sort something out with one of my community. So yeah, there's some people saying we can maybe sort you out. So yeah, just drop me an email. I know it was anonymous, but just drop me an email, okay? And we can still be anonymous. Make a fake email if you want, and we can hook you up with somebody. There's people in the chat who can help. It's very nice of you guys. Love that. Community coming together. All right. Actually, upon closer inspection, I found I think 2 more questions that I want to talk about, but I lost one of them just now. Where'd it go? That was weird. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, here we go. Hi, David. Been vegan for 4 years. I have terrible guilt feeding my 2 rescue dogs meat. I had them before I became vegan. Tried them on Omnipet. That's the dog food. I'm not keen. Just feel such a hypocrite. So, just FYI for you guys, I am collaborating with Omnipet, which is a vegan dog food company. So keep an eye out. I'll be posting up. You know what? I might just do it now, even, to be honest with you. It's live. So I'll tell you what, while we're on the topic, before I answer this question, I'll just shamelessly plug this. So I'm working with them. And basically, if you want to check their stuff out, their vegan dog food, plant-based dog food, and you want to buy anything off them, if you use my code, you can get a nice discount. So they're a vet formulated dog food. Okay. So they work with vets who are pro plant-based diets for dogs. It's backed by them, and they work very closely with them. They do dog treats, wet food, dry food, kibble, stuff like that. And if you use this code, you get 50% off your first order. So if you signed up to do a subscription order that keeps going, you'd get 60% off your first installment. Or if you just buy something randomly, just buy 1 bag, you get 50% off it. So that's pretty cool, right? And you can buy as much as you want in the first go and get 50% off. So there it is, Rams50, if you want that. And I'll be talking about that a bit more. I'll be doing a bit more ads for them and stuff. But I've just not got around to it yet. We're doing some scripting. We're getting it ready. But yeah, there you go. This was the most impromptu, chill ad placement ever. But there you go, there you go. It's simple as that. Get some money off some decent vegan dog food that has been vet approved. There you go. Josh is asking, is Omnipet tested on animals? That'll be pretty crazy. Look, I don't think so. I've never even thought to check it because they're so pro-vegan. So I highly, highly doubt it. And the guy I'm working with from there is a hardcore vegan. So I just trusted them. But I can get like an actual, we'll go with no, okay? But my Lord, if it turned out to be yes, I would be extremely shocked. But let me see. I'm on the FAQ now. Give me a second. I'll get like an absolute solid answer. Do you know what I'll do? 1 minute. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll message my guy. See if I can get the answer to this. Hey, mate. Okay, I assume it wasn't, but please confirm. Was Omnipet tested on animals? I'm on live stream and someone asked. I'm assuming not, of course, but please, if you could confirm, that would be great. Let's see if we can get an answer quickly. But I appreciate the question, guys, because, again, I mean, I know assume nothing. I get that. But just based on the interactions I'm having, and this guy who I'm dealing with is an activist, like he's a full-on animal rights activist. So it would be insane if this was the case. But I'm almost certain it's not. But anyway, we'll get an answer. Let's Well, has he just found it? Where did you find that 40-year-old vegan? David, was that on the website? What the hell did he find that? How come I couldn't find that? I'm in the FAQs here and I couldn't find that. Okay, we're going to answer this question soon, but just first of all, let me just find out where David found that, and then I can put it up on the screen and we can check it. Like I said, it would have been just absolutely ridiculous because like I said, I'm working with an activist, so I just trusted them because, like, why wouldn't I? But you're right. I should have definitely looked into it before, and got that 100% certified rather than trusting my mate. He's very trustworthy though, guys. Okay, come on. You know. All right, I'll look for the page that David found. And it's here. There you go. Okay. Good news. Omni has a robust animal testing policy which confirms animal testing is not conducted on any of its products and ingredients. There you go. And this is from the Good Shopping Guide on Ethical, Sustainable Comparison of Cat and Dog Food. And it's here. There you go. Good. So it's sorted. They do not test on animals, which is absolutely what I expected. But now we've got it confirmed. So thank you for that. So yeah, anyway, back to the ad. So use Rams50 on OmniPet, which is 100% vegan, not tested on animals, and vet formulated recipes for plant-based nutrition for dogs. There you go. Anyway, back to answering this question. So this person's dogs didn't take to OmniPet for whatever reason, okay? Which is, whatever. Sometimes dogs don't take to it. Your pets sometimes don't want to eat what you want them to eat, right? It happens. Try feeding a dog medicine. They spit it out, right? Some dogs. So I get that. What you got to do if that's the case, if you don't, obviously I want people to feed their dogs plant-based, because why is it fair to kill all these other animals just for your one companion because you love them? It doesn't make sense, right? Fortunately, there are alternatives. So there are other dog food, plant-based dog food alternatives, right, which you could look around for. And if that doesn't work out, I actually know there was a sanctuary owner over in India. She had 72 dogs. Every day, she made the food for the dogs by hand. And she had all of the different things. So she was feeding them like lentils and stuff like that, but with supplements as well to make sure that they were getting a nutritionally balanced diet. She'd done all the research and found out what conventional dog food has in it. And she was just making the same stuff at home, but without the animal products. So she was finding the plant-based sources for all the products. And the dogs in this shelter were happy, very energetic, very healthy. And she was constantly checking on them and watching out for any issues they were having and stuff like that. Getting tests done and stuff if any of them had an issue, and finding out if it was anything to do with the diet and keeping an eye. She had 72 dogs. So, I mean, if she can do it with 72 dogs, I'm sure the person, you with this comment, I'm sure you could figure out how to do it for your little pooches. You got 2, right? Is it? Let me read that. 2 rescue dogs. You just got to try different foods with them. Just try different plant-based alternatives with them. Try different recipes. Find some recipes online. And of course, make sure all along the way you're monitoring them. Make sure that nothing you're feeding them they're having any reaction to and stuff like that. It is so worth trying because you're not going to do any permanent damage to these dogs by feeding them nutritionally adequate food. The worst that's going to happen is maybe one of them has an allergy to soy or something, or grains or something like that. Then you'll have to figure something out. But an allergy, it's going to be a skin itch, or they have an itchy ear. It's not going to be an allergy that makes them have a heart attack or something. I've never heard of that before. When dogs get allergies to stuff, they cough, maybe their eyes water, or they get an itch. And then you find out the allergy, you don't give that to them again. Simple. Even people feeding their dogs with conventional dog food, the dogs get allergies, right? People who feed their dogs meat, the dogs get allergies to stuff that in certain meats, certain animal meats make dogs have allergic reactions. So everyone's dealing with this stuff. And especially when it comes to rescue dogs, because they tend to have loads of health issues anyway. So don't feel like you can't, experiment with different foods for them. You can. And it's only the same as other non-vegan dog owners do with their dogs. It's the same stuff. They're all doing the same thing, But people hyper focus on vegans as, oh, you're abusing your dog. You're making them try these different foods. It's like, come on, non-vegan dog people will do the same thing when their dogs, for different reasons or whatever. So yeah, there you go. Hopefully that answers your question, and just keep trying. It's worth it. Dogs can be perfectly healthy eating plant-based. And yeah, I'll show you the Omni website for anyone interested. This is the Omni. This is a delicious and healthy planet-friendly dog food made by vets and scientists with all the best ingredients tailored for dogs of all ages. So they do like dry food, wet food, but we'll have a look at everything. And yeah, they do supplements for them too, which is pretty cool. Let's try and make this smaller so you can see. There you go. Oh, let's refresh it 1 minute. There you go. Joints and mobility supplement, stress and anxiety supplement, anal gland supplement. Yeah, stool firming, irritated skin supplement, home cooking supplement. So dogs, especially rescue dogs, have all these kinds of different problems. So they make these plant-based supplements for them, which is pretty cool. And then they got the dog food, puppies, adults, seniors, all vet formulated for each, age. And then another one here down here for adults as well. Sensitivity one. This is for sensitive tummies. And they got treats too, which is pretty cool. And then they got all the wet food as well, which are, you could eat these yourself. I actually spoke to my contact there and he said he tried some. He said it was all right, which is funny, huh? And yeah, they do some other stuff too, like candles and stuff as well. But yeah, it's the food is the main driver, obviously. And like I said, your first order, you can get 50% off. Use the code RAMS50 and you get that. And if you subscribe, you would get 20% more. Look, see, like you say, subscribe and save, and you get 60% off the whole thing for the first time, basically. I think you get a lot of money off using that code, right? If you subscribe, you get more money knocked off. If you buy one time, you still get a lot of money knocked off. So if you're looking to try some plant-based dog food, this is the place to give it a go. Because you're getting a big discount. So there you go. Using my code, RAMS50. All righty. Glad we sorted out the whole testing thing. You guys holding me accountable, huh? David didn't even check. He just assumed. How dare he? A couple new questions came in. I'm not done. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm going to go for a bit longer, 3.5 hours. Wow, we've been here for a while. Oh my goodness. Didn't realize we've been going that long. But I'm feeling all right. I'm going to do the last couple of questions. Because every time I say last couple of questions, more questions come in. So, look at this one. I stopped attending church because my fellow church friends believe in needless violence to animals. Could you give a live stream on your channel every Sunday? Oh, you want to come to my church instead? I mean, I do pretty much do stream every Sunday. I missed last week because we weren't here. We were out and about, but yeah, I mean, I do stream most Sundays. But I don't know if it's a good replacement for church. I mean, I'll do my best. We can try and do a sermon. I've had some anti-vegans come along and criticize us, saying this is like a sermon, and people come along to listen to me and do a sermon like a religion and stuff. It's quite funny because, I mean, it's not like that, but it can be like that if you guys want it to be like that. We can do some, can I get a hallelujah? We can do some of that. We can do some singing. I'll get the guitar. Do some cringe vegan songs. We'll get all vegan teacher in the house if you want. I mean, I don't know. I'm not against it. And we all need somewhere to, come together and praise the Lord. So, you know, Gary Yorovsky. So this could be the place for that, right? Sure. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate the request for a weekly stream in replacement for your church. That means a lot to me that you would see this as a replacement for that. I'll do my best to make up for the lack of church in your life, but you could still go to church. You know, you don't need to go with the friends. You could just go there, just be part of the community, and then come home and watch this. I think that's a good thing to get into, a good habit to get into. I think it makes sense. All right, we have one question here. Have you got any advice on how to become better at debating debating non-vegans? I don't think real life activism would work well for me at the moment, so I'm trying to focus on debating people on social media. Well, if you're debating people in the comments section, it tends to go and spiral out of control pretty quickly, unfortunately, and it tends to be quite frustrating. But my main advice for you with this, just to stay calm. Try your hardest to not let your emotions get the better of you. Try and avoid roasting people. I've roasted people a lot in my life, and I realized that although it is fun and it feels good to get a zinger out there and just, you know, just ruin someone's day, it only really benefits you because you feel, and you're vegans, you and the vegans are like, haha, good roast, good burn. But realistically, it's a very small moment, and you could have had a much more profound moment by trying to reach people. And I think, you know, you'll fail most of the time, which will make you very tempted to go and roast the people instead. But I think there's better ways to spend your time online than looking for zingers on people in comments. And instead, try and put out meaningful comments that may not convince them because they're trolling or whatever, but could convince the other people who are looking at your comments. And that goes the same for if you're having a verbal interaction online, like if you're going to debate somebody on a video call. Just try and be somebody that other people would look at and go, wow, this person's solid. And if the person you're talking to is taking the mick and not taking it seriously, just remember that there are other people that might watch who will think well of you if you can hold it together. So yeah, I think that's my advice for you. Read a book go and get Lifting Vegan Logic's ebook, which is all about debating and all the different excuses and how to answer them. Or, I mean, that's not free, but Earthling Ed does have a free ebook. So just Google Earthling Ed ebook, or Danny's ebook is an up-to-date version of that, basically, with more information. That's why it costs. But whatever, if you want the free one, go for Earthling Ed. If you want something very, very advanced and a lot longer, I think, then go for Danny's and buy it. And you're supporting an activist if you buy that. So it's not like it's, it's not like it's wasted money. It's good money. Yeah, Melita's saying there's also Earthling Ed's new book, How to Argue with a Meat Eater. I don't know. I've not read that, but I know his ebook was good. I don't know is his ebook still alive? Maybe he took the ebook down because he's selling his new book. Let's have a look. 1 minute. No, I think it's still available. Yeah, it's here. So just Google Earthling Ed ebook, and it's here. It's the top results, allcreatures.org, 30 non-vegan excuses and how to respond to them. And look, they're all here. You know, it's a free ebook. So I really recommend you guys pick that up if you haven't already. It's a good one. And thank you for trying to get out there and do some work. It's really important. Even if you're in the just in the comment section, that's still very valuable. So please do that. Thank you. Dominic, thank you for the super chat, mate. You should dress up as Moses on stream and hand down to us the 10 vegan commandments in a booming voice. Sure, I mean, we can try that. I need to write the commandments out, but I have also got the microphone. I can put it in dark mode. So right now it's in natural. I'll switch it to dark. You ready? Now it's in dark mode. Do you hear the difference? Now my voice is also a bit different, but because I'm doing a low voice. But if I get really close and do a low voice, then I can read out the 10 commandments for you all in a booming voice that will make it sound very much like I am some kind of god speaking down from the heavens. We can do that. I'm going to switch it back to natural now because that is too much bass for my ears. Yeah, Dominic, we can look into that one day. just open up the stream with just the 10 Commandments. Maybe we can make it a thing that we do every time. Oh, yeah. All right. I think I've said this 3 or 4 times now, but I actually think we've reached the end. I think I've answered all the questions I want to answer, bar a couple unusual ones that I don't want to answer. And that's it. Yeah. I think we're done there. Well, guys, listen, this was lovely. A good chunky 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours still? I thought I said it was 3.5 hours, like 3.5 when it was like 20 minutes ago. I feel like, was it only like 5 minutes? That was okay. Well, there you go. Listen, guys, you've been very generous today with the donations. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. As you know, all your donations are going back into the channel and making the videos, and so it's really valuable to us. It's also supporting the work we're doing offline as well, which we'll be talking to you more about over this next coming year. I'm trying to think if there's any updates I've got for you. You may have noticed we didn't have a Face to Facts Friday yet. We will be having them. They've not gone away forever. I'm just currently coming up with a new kind of thing for them, basically. It may be coming. There may be one coming next week. We'll see. We'll see about that. All right. But I'm trying to kind of give them a bit of a revamp, a bit of a 2024 revamp. Okay. So we'll see how we go with that. And as always, guys, if you've got something you want to see, ideas, video topics, stuff like that, you can always drop me an email, DM me on Instagram, or if you're in the Patreon team, you can actually just DM me on Patreon, which is the fastest way to get to me. I'll always respond on Patreon. If I don't respond right away on Patreon, it's because sometimes Patreon doesn't give me a notification when you've messaged me, but it usually does. So, just keep using that, guys. Don't forget to DM me there. It's important that you make use of that, I'm just checking now. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think I see Josh has messaged me here on Patreon. I need to get back to him that just a couple of days ago. So yeah, if you enjoy what we do here, if you appreciate the work, guys, do consider joining the Patreon team or the YouTube memberships team, or both. You could do both. That really helps. Thank you. Yeah, legends. And make sure, remember, buy some dog food from OmniDog and use my code RAMS50. Because like I said, if you do, that's another big way of supporting me. Because I don't know if I explained it, but when you use that code, you get money off and they send me money too. How cool is that? So when you make an order, you are actually making a donation to me as well as getting dog food 50% off. Vegan dog food. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier, my bad. But that's a big win-win for everybody, isn't it, really? Supporting a vegan company, supporting an animal rights activist, and supporting your doggo with some lovely vegan dog food. You can't lose. Dominic, thank you for the super chat, mate. Regarding updates, did you check out those links I sent the vegan Buddhist sect? No pressure, I know you're very busy with a lot of projects. I didn't, mate. I was right after the stream. You were really fast on it, and I went to bed, and then I didn't ever chase it up. But I will chase it up. Thank you. I'll check that out. And if it's interesting, if it looks cool, I could cover it in a video as well. But thank you for reminding me of that. I will go check it. Appreciate it. Legend. All right, guys. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Annie, for moderating. It was very difficult today with all the trolls we had, jokes. We actually had no trolls today. Annie had a lovely job today, didn't she? Just hanging out with you guys, just chatting. This is how our streams should be. But then again, if we're not getting trolls, then, are we really reaching the right people? It's a weird one. It's bittersweet, bittersweet. But anyway, I loved hanging out with you guys today without the trolls, even though it's good to have the trolls because then they learn something. But anyway, keep being legends, guys. I'll catch you all in the next one.